In a world where words are everywhere, on screens, in conversations, in the constant chatter of our own minds, it's easy to forget the profound power of silence. But silence is not just the absence of noise. It is a presence, a force, and an untapped well of wisdom. It holds the answers we're too busy to hear, and the calm we're too distracted to find. Silence, in its simplicity, carries a strength that can change the way we experience life. We live in an age of instant reactions. Social media demands our opinions. Arguments flare up at the slightest provocation, and we often feel compelled to fill every pause with words. But have you ever noticed how a moment of silence can shift the energy in a room? How not reacting immediately can diffuse a tense situation? Silence isn't passive, it's powerful. It creates space for clarity, for understanding, and for emotions to settle. It takes courage to embrace silence, especially in a culture that equates speaking up with strength and staying quiet with weakness. Yet, silence isn't about avoiding conflict or suppressing your voice. It's about choosing wisdom over impulse. When we stay silent, we give ourselves the gift of time. Time to think, to process, and to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting emotionally. Silence is not about withholding, it's about discerning. It's about knowing when words are needed and when they are not. Silence also speaks volumes in ways words never can. Think of the moments when someone's quiet presence has comforted you more than any advice ever could, or when silence, held in respect during times of loss, has communicated a depth of compassion that words would only dilute. There is a beauty in this kind of silence, one that transcends language and touches the heart directly. It's a reminder that sometimes the most profound connections are made not with sound, but with stillness. When faced with anger, silence becomes a shield. It protects you from saying things you might later regret and from escalating the situation. Words spoken in anger often carry a weight that lingers long after the moment has passed. But silence. Silence absorbs the heat without letting it burn you. It gives you the upper hand, not in dominance, but in control. It allows you to walk away with your peace intact, refusing to let someone else's turmoil become your own. Silence is also an act of self-respect. It says, I value my energy enough to not waste it on unnecessary conflicts. When faced with gossip, negativity, or criticism, choosing silence is a way of maintaining your integrity. It shows that you don't need to justify yourself to others or get entangled in their drama. This kind of silence isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's a quiet declaration that your peace is not up for negotiation. Life is noisy, not just externally, but internally. Our minds are filled with endless streams of thoughts, some helpful, many not. Silence offers a reprieve from this mental chatter. It's a space where you can step back, observe your thoughts without judgment, and find clarity amidst the confusion. It's in these moments of stillness that breakthroughs happen, that solutions become clear, and that we reconnect with ourselves. Nature has always understood the power of silence. Stand in a forest, sit by a river, or watch the waves roll in at the shore, and you'll feel it. The quiet hum of life, unhurried and unbothered. There's no rush, no urgency, just a natural rhythm that reminds us how to simply be. Practicing silence amidst the chaos of daily life is like bringing a piece of that natural calm into your world. It centers you, grounds you, and reminds you of what truly matters. Silence is a teacher. It teaches patience when answers don't come immediately. It teaches humility when we realize that not every thought needs to be spoken. It teaches compassion when we listen deeply to others, without interrupting. And it teaches resilience as we learn to hold our ground, without needing to prove ourselves through words. There is an undeniable grace in knowing when to stay silent. It's not about holding back out of fear, but stepping back out of strength. It's the quiet confidence of someone who doesn't need to argue to feel validated, who doesn't need to fill the air with words to feel important. This kind of silence is magnetic. It draws respect, commands attention, and leaves room for wisdom to emerge. And silence isn't just for challenging moments, it's for the everyday too. Simple tasks like walking, cooking, or tidying up can become meditative when done in silence. These quiet moments allow us to be fully present, to notice the details we usually overlook, and to cultivate a sense of mindfulness that carries into the rest of our lives. This isn't about withdrawing from the world, but engaging with it in a deeper, more intentional way. Silence allows us to show up as our best selves, not reactive, but thoughtful, not restless, but calm, not scattered, but focused. It's a practice that transforms not just how we handle situations, but how we live. Silence is not a void. It is a presence. It is not absence. It is fullness. It is not weakness. It is strength. And when we embrace it, we discover a power within ourselves that is unshakable. In the quiet, we find the space to grow, the clarity to understand, and the courage to simply be. Silence has a way of holding truths we often overlook. In the chaos of daily life, where words flow ceaselessly and distractions pull us in countless directions, silence stands as a quiet, powerful refuge. It is not just the absence of noise, but a doorway to something deeper, a space where understanding grows, where the soul finds rest, and where wisdom begins to bloom. In Buddhist philosophy, silence is not emptiness, it is fullness. It is an intentional act of stepping away from the noise to connect with the profound truths that words often fail to express. This journey into the transformative power of silence will reveal its role as a teacher, a healer, and a guide to inner peace. It is more than a practice. It is a way of being, a tool for navigating the complexities of life with clarity and grace. Silence, at its core, is a mirror reflecting the workings of the mind. Buddhist philosophy teaches that true understanding begins when the noise fades away, and what remains is the essence of who we are. Speech can often distort, adding layers of interpretation and emotion to reality. Silence, on the other hand, peels those layers back, leaving raw truth in its wake. In moments of stillness, the mind is allowed to see itself clearly, unclouded by the distractions of external stimuli. When words are absent, the heart speaks louder. Silence creates a fertile ground for introspection. It allows us to observe the patterns of thought and emotion that often go unnoticed in the busyness of our lives. This kind of reflection is not passive, it is an active engagement with the self. It invites us to ask questions that matter. What drives my actions? What shapes my perceptions? What is the source of my suffering? These inquiries, nurtured in silence, can lead to insights that transform the way we see the world. Buddhist philosophy sees silence as a vehicle for mindfulness. By quieting the external, we learn to listen to the internal. This kind of listening is not about judging or controlling thoughts, but about witnessing them as they are. It is about sitting with discomfort, acknowledging it without trying to fix it, and allowing it to pass naturally. In this space, clarity emerges, not forced but arising naturally, like the sun breaking through clouds. In silence, there is a profound sense of presence. Buddhist teachings emphasize the importance of being fully in the moment, and silence is one of the most effective ways to achieve this. When we are not distracted by the need to speak or respond, our attention naturally shifts to the here and now. This presence is not merely an awareness of the physical environment, but a deep connection to the experience of being alive. It is in these moments that life feels most vivid, most real, and most meaningful. Silence is also a tool for cultivating compassion. When we refrain from speaking, we are better able to hear, not just the words of others, but the emotions and intentions behind them. Buddhist philosophy teaches that true compassion arises from understanding, and understanding requires listening. In silence, we give others the space to express themselves fully, without interruption or judgment. This creates a bond of empathy that words often fail to achieve. The practice of silence also fosters patience. In a world that values quick responses and instant gratification, silence teaches us the virtue of waiting. It shows us that not every moment demands action, and not every question requires an immediate answer. This patience extends beyond interactions with others and into our relationship with ourselves. Silence allows us to sit with uncertainty, to resist the urge to fill the void with premature conclusions, and to trust that clarity will come in its own time. Buddhist philosophy often likens the mind to a pond. When the water is stirred, it becomes murky, and its depth is obscured. But when it is still, the water becomes clear, reflecting the world as it truly is. Silence is the stillness that allows the mind to settle, revealing its depth and clarity. This process is not always comfortable. When the noise fades, we may find ourselves confronting thoughts or emotions we have long avoided. But it's in this confrontation that healing begins. Silence also acts as a boundary, protecting our energy from being drained by unnecessary conversations or arguments. Buddhist teachings remind us that not all words are beneficial, and that choosing when to speak and when to remain silent is an act of wisdom. Silence becomes a shield, preserving our inner peace and allowing us to engage with the world on our own terms. In moments of silence, we become aware of the interconnectedness of all things. Buddhist philosophy emphasizes the idea that we are not separate from the world, but deeply intertwined with it. Silence allows us to feel this connection more acutely. It heightens our awareness of the subtle rhythms of life, the rustling of leaves, the whisper of the wind, the rise and fall of our own breath. These moments remind us that we are part of a greater whole, fostering a sense of humility and gratitude. The transformative power of silence also lies in its ability to create space for creativity and insight. In the absence of external noise, the mind is free to wander, to explore new ideas, and to see connections that were previously hidden. Many of the world's great thinkers and creators have spoken of the role silence plays in their process. It is in the stillness that inspiration often strikes, not as a forced effort, but as a natural unfolding. In relationships, silence can be a gift. It allows us to move beyond superficial exchanges and connect on a deeper level. When we are silent, we are better able to understand the unspoken needs and feelings of others. This kind of connection requires presence and attentiveness, qualities that are nurtured in silence. Silence is not about retreating from the world, but about engaging with it more authentically. Buddhist philosophy teaches that the practice of silence is not an end in itself, but a means to a greater understanding of life and its impermanence. In silence, we come face to face with the transient nature of all things. This realization is not meant to evoke despair, but to inspire us to live with greater intention and appreciation. By embracing silence, we also learn to let go of the need for control. Many of our words are driven by a desire to influence or shape outcomes. Silence, on the other hand, is an act of surrender. It is a recognition that some things are beyond our control and that it is okay to simply let them be. This acceptance brings a profound sense of peace, freeing us from the burden of trying to manage everything. The power of silence extends into every aspect of life. It enriches our understanding of ourselves, deepens our relationships, and connects us to the world around us. It is not a void, but a space of infinite potential. Buddhist philosophy invites us to explore this space, to sit with it, and to let it transform us from within. Silence is a journey inward, a journey to the truth, and a journey to peace. It is a practice that requires patience, courage, and commitment, but the rewards are immeasurable. In the quiet, we find not only ourselves, but the wisdom and strength to navigate the complexities of life with grace and clarity. Silence is not an absence, it is a presence that can change everything. The journey through silence continues, leading us to one of the most challenging yet transformative situations in which silence reveals its power. When emotions surge, especially anger, silence is not just a choice. It is a shield, a protector of your inner peace and your relationships. Anger has a way of gripping us tightly, pulling words from our lips that we may later wish we could take back. But there is strength in holding back, in resisting the immediate urge to react. This is where silence shows its true power, not in what it prevents, but in what it preserves. When anger rises, the temptation to speak is overwhelming. Words feel like an outlet, a way to release the heat of the moment. But words spoken in anger are rarely born from clarity. They are impulsive, sharp, and often carry unintended consequences. They can harm relationships, tarnish trust, and deepen conflicts. By staying silent, you create space to let the storm pass, to process your emotions, and to respond with intention rather than reaction. This is not an act of suppression, but an act of mastery, where you take control of your narrative and refuse to let fleeting emotions dictate your actions. Silence during anger is not about ignoring what you feel, but about honoring it without letting it consume you. Buddhist teachings emphasize the importance of sitting with emotions, allowing them to arise and fall without clinging to them. Anger, like all emotions, is impermanent. It flares up like a fire, but burns out just as quickly when not fueled. Speaking in anger often adds fuel to that fire, prolonging the heat and intensifying the damage. Silence, however, denies it that fuel. It lets the fire smolder and eventually extinguish itself, leaving behind calm and clarity. Staying silent in moments of anger does not mean you are weak or passive. In fact, it requires tremendous strength and discipline. It is far easier to lash out than to hold back, far simpler to react than to restrain. But silence in anger reflects self-control, a deep understanding of the temporary nature of emotions, and a commitment to preserving peace, both within yourself and with others. By staying silent, you are not avoiding the issue. You are choosing to address it with wisdom and grace once the storm has passed. In relationships, silence during anger can be a profound act of care. Anger, when unchecked, often causes harm to those we care about the most. Words spoken in anger have a way of piercing deeper than intended, creating wounds that take far longer to heal than the moment it takes to utter them. Silence becomes an act of protection, safeguarding your connection to others from the harm that impulsive words can bring. It is not about withholding your thoughts forever, but about choosing the right moment and the right way to express them. Anger often clouds judgment, making it difficult to see situations clearly. Silence creates an opportunity for reflection, a chance to step back and examine the source of your anger. Is it rooted in misunderstanding, in unmet expectations, in past wounds that have yet to heal? By remaining silent, you give yourself the time and space to identify these underlying causes, turning what could have been a destructive moment into a chance for growth and insight. Silence transforms anger from an uncontrollable force into a teacher, revealing truths about yourself that might otherwise remain hidden. Silence also sets an example for others. In moments of anger, it is easy for tension to escalate when both parties are reactive. But when one person chooses silence, it disrupts the cycle, creating an opportunity for calm to enter the conversation. Your silence can encourage others to pause and reflect as well, paving the way for a more thoughtful and constructive dialogue. This does not mean remaining silent indefinitely, but choosing to speak when the intensity has subsided, ensuring that your words come from a place of clarity rather than heat. Buddhist teachings often liken anger to a poisoned arrow. It harms not only the person it is aimed at, but also the one who holds it. Silence allows you to release that arrow without causing harm. It frees you from the grip of anger, protecting your own peace and preventing the spread of pain to others. This act of restraint is not about denying your emotions, but about acknowledging them with mindfulness and choosing not to let them control you. Practicing silence in anger is also a way of building resilience. Each time you choose silence over reaction, you strengthen your ability to navigate challenging emotions. This resilience becomes a foundation for inner peace, allowing you to remain centered even in the face of provocation. Over time, the pull of anger becomes less intense, and the space between emotion and reaction grows wider. This is where true freedom lies, in the ability to feel deeply without being ruled by those feelings. Silence is not a void, it is an active practice. When anger arises, silence is a space to breathe deeply, to observe the sensations in your body, and to reconnect with your inner calm. It is a moment to ground yourself, to anchor in the present, rather than being swept away by the intensity of the emotion. This grounding is not about ignoring what you feel, but about creating a stable foundation from which to understand and address it. Anger often arises from a sense of injustice or a feeling of being wronged. Silence allows you to examine these triggers with curiosity rather than judgment. Are your expectations realistic? Is the situation as dire as it feels in the moment? By staying silent, you give yourself the chance to question the stories your mind is telling you, to separate fact from interpretation, and to approach the situation with greater wisdom and understanding. There is also a profound humility in choosing silence. It is an acknowledgement that you do not have all the answers, that your perspective may be incomplete, and that speaking in anger may not lead to resolution. Silence creates space for listening, not just to others, but to yourself. It is a reminder that wisdom often comes not from speaking, but from observing, reflecting, and understanding. Silence during anger is a way of breaking patterns. Many of us have ingrained habits of reacting in certain ways when provoked. These patterns, often formed over years, can feel automatic and unchangeable. But silence disrupts these patterns, creating an opening for new responses. It is a way of reclaiming your power, of choosing how you show up in the world rather than being dictated by old habits or fleeting emotions. In the heat of anger, silence can feel like a sacrifice, as though you are giving up the chance to defend yourself or make your point. But in reality, it is an investment. By choosing silence in the moment, you are preserving the integrity of your relationships, your peace of mind, and your sense of self. It is an act of prioritizing long-term harmony over short-term satisfaction. Anger is often rooted in attachment, the attachment to being right, to having things go our way, or to being understood in a specific way. Silence during anger is a practice of letting go of these attachments. It's a way of releasing the need to control outcomes and instead trusting that the truth will reveal itself in time. This letting go is not about giving up, but about finding freedom from the grip of expectations. Silence transforms anger from a destructive force into a tool for growth. It creates space for healing, for understanding, and for connection. It is a reminder that we are not our emotions, that we have the power to choose how we respond, and that in the quiet we can find the clarity and strength to navigate even the most challenging moments with grace. Silence is not a retreat. It is a triumph, a declaration that your peace is more valuable than the fleeting satisfaction of anger. As anger subsides and silence proves its power as a shield, the question arises, how do we extend this practice into the relentless chaos of daily life? The noise of the world is constant. Conversations, notifications, deadlines, and demands tugging at us from every direction. In this relentless rush, silence often feels like a luxury we cannot afford. Yet, it is precisely in these moments of chaos that silence becomes essential. It is not about withdrawing from life, but finding stillness within it, a space to breathe, reflect, and connect with the present. The world moves at a pace that seems designed to pull us out of ourselves. Endless tasks and responsibilities scatter our attention, leaving little room for introspection. Silence, even in the smallest doses, counteracts this fragmentation. It allows the mind to gather itself, creating a sense of wholeness amidst the demands of the day. This isn't about retreating to a quiet mountaintop or isolating yourself from the world. It's about weaving silence into the fabric of daily life in ways that bring balance and clarity. One way silence becomes a refuge in the chaos of daily life is through purposeful pauses. These moments are not long but deliberate. A brief stillness before speaking, a mindful breath before taking action. These pauses, though small, have the power to reset the mind, interrupting the autopilot mode that often governs our actions. They bring a heightened awareness to the present moment, transforming mundane tasks into opportunities for mindfulness. Washing dishes, walking to the car, or waiting in line can all become moments of quiet focus, grounding you in the here and now. Noise is not just external. It exists within us as well. The constant chatter of thoughts, worries, and plans often drowns out our ability to simply be. Silence in daily life is a practice of tuning into this internal noise without judgment. It is about creating a space where thoughts can arise and pass without clinging to them. This kind of silence is active. It requires a gentle attention that observes without reacting. Over time, this practice cultivates a sense of inner calm, even in the busiest of environments. The power of silence in daily life extends to our interactions with others. In conversations, silence often feels uncomfortable, as though it needs to be filled with words. But in truth, silence can deepen connections. When we pause and listen without rushing to respond, we create a space for understanding. This kind of silence communicates presence and attentiveness, qualities that are rare in a world of hurried exchanges. It allows us to hear not just the words being spoken, but the emotions and intentions behind them. Incorporating silence into daily routines also nurtures creativity and problem-solving. When the mind is constantly engaged, it leaves little room for insight to arise. Silence provides that room. It is often in moments of stillness, when we are not actively trying to solve a problem, that the most innovative ideas and solutions emerge. This is not coincidence, but a reflection of the mind's natural ability to find clarity when given the space to do so. Daily silence is also a form of self-care. The demands of life often leave little room for rest, both physical and mental. Silence offers a kind of rest that goes beyond sleep. It is a way to recharge the mind, to step away from the busyness and reconnect with yourself. Even a few minutes of intentional silence can have a profound impact, reducing stress and bringing a sense of renewal. For many, silence feels elusive in a world filled with responsibilities and distractions. But the beauty of silence is that it can be found anywhere. It doesn't require special conditions or elaborate practices. It can be as simple as sitting quietly with your morning coffee, taking a walk without headphones, or closing your eyes for a moment in the middle of a busy day. These small acts of silence are not insignificant. They are acts of reclaiming your presence in a world that often pulls you away from it. Silence in daily life also teaches patience. In the rush to accomplish everything, it is easy to feel frustrated by delays or setbacks. Silence reminds us that not everything requires immediate action. It creates a space for waiting without resistance, for trusting that things will unfold in their own time. This patience is not passive. It is an active choice to stay present rather than being swept away by the urgency of the moment. The practice of silence is also a way of setting boundaries in daily life. It is a way of saying no to unnecessary noise, whether it comes from external sources or from within. By choosing silence, you are prioritizing your peace and well-being over the demands of the world. This doesn't mean ignoring responsibilities or withdrawing from life. It means approaching them from a place of calm and clarity rather than stress and distraction. Incorporating silence into daily life has a cumulative effect. Each moment of quiet builds upon the last, creating a foundation of mindfulness that carries into every aspect of life. Over time, this practice transforms not just how you navigate daily challenges, but how you experience life itself. It shifts your perspective, allowing you to see the beauty in the small, quiet moments that often go unnoticed. Silence also fosters gratitude. In the stillness, we become more aware of the simple joys that are often overshadowed by the noise of daily life. A warm cup of tea, the sound of birds, the feeling of sunlight on the skin. These moments, though small, hold a richness that silence helps us to see. Gratitude, in turn, brings a sense of contentment that makes even the busiest days feel more meaningful. The presence of silence in daily life also strengthens resilience. It teaches us to find calm within chaos, to anchor ourselves in stillness, even when the world around us is anything but still. This resilience is not about being unaffected by challenges, but about navigating them with grace and strength. Silence becomes a refuge, a place to return to when life feels overwhelming. As silence becomes a part of daily life, it also deepens our connection to others. It allows us to show up more fully in our relationships, to listen with an open heart, and to communicate with intention. This kind of presence is a gift, both to ourselves and to those around us. It enriches our interactions, bringing a sense of authenticity and depth that words alone cannot convey. In the chaos of daily life, silence is a reminder of what truly matters. It strips away the distractions and brings us back to the essence of things. It is not an escape, but an embrace, a way of engaging with life more deeply and authentically. Silence doesn't ask us to do less, but to be more present in what we do. It invites us to live with intention, to move through the world with clarity and purpose, and to find peace even in the midst of noise. By weaving silence into the routines of daily life, we create a rhythm that balances activity with stillness, noise with quiet, and effort with ease. This balance is not just a practice, it is a way of living that transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. Silence, when embraced, becomes not just a momentary refuge, but a lifelong companion, guiding us through the chaos with wisdom and grace. As silence weaves itself into the fabric of daily life, its power to ground us becomes undeniable. But there is a deeper, more personal dimension to silence, its ability to calm a restless mind. When thoughts spiral and emotions churn, silence becomes more than a pause. It transforms into a sanctuary. It is where clarity arises from confusion and where the mind finds the space to organize itself, like a cluttered room slowly regaining order. A restless mind often feels relentless, pulling in countless directions at once. Thoughts race, emotions amplify, and focus becomes a distant memory. In these moments, silence acts as an anchor, bringing stillness to an otherwise stormy sea. It offers a way to step back, to detach from the chaos, and to allow the mind to settle naturally. Unlike distractions that only mask agitation temporarily, silence addresses the root of restlessness, guiding the mind toward a state of calm. When the mind is restless, it is often a sign of overstimulation. Endless inputs, whether from conversations, screens, or tasks, overload the brain, leaving it no time to process or recover. Silence is the antidote to this overload. It provides the mental space necessary to process thoughts and emotions without interference. In this space, the mind can sort through its noise, separating what is essential from what is not. This process is not instant, but it is transformative, bringing clarity that is often unattainable in the midst of noise. Agitation thrives on unchecked thoughts. When left unobserved, these thoughts can spiral, building momentum and creating a sense of overwhelm. Silence introduces a pause, disrupting this momentum. It allows you to observe your thoughts without being swept away by them. This act of observation is central to calming the mind. By stepping into silence, you shift from being a participant in the chaos to being an observer of it, gaining perspective and reclaiming control. The act of observing thoughts in silence is not about judgment or suppression. It is about allowing thoughts to arise and pass without attaching to them. This practice, rooted in mindfulness, teaches the mind to let go of what it doesn't need. It is not about forcing the mind to be still, but about creating an environment where stillness can naturally emerge. Silence becomes a gentle reminder that not every thought demands attention, and not every emotion requires action. Silence also provides an opportunity to reconnect with the body, which is often neglected in times of mental restlessness. The mind and body are deeply interconnected, and when one is agitated, the other often follows. In silence, you can tune into the sensations of the body, using them as an anchor to bring the mind back to the present. The simple act of focusing on the breath, its rhythm, depth, and consistency, can have a profound calming effect. This awareness creates a feedback loop of relaxation, soothing both the mind and the body. Confusion often accompanies a restless mind, making it difficult to see situations clearly. Silence clears the fog of confusion by creating a space for reflection. When the mind is quiet, answers and insights that were previously obscured begin to reveal themselves. This is not a forced clarity, but one that arises naturally when the noise subsides. Silence allows you to approach challenges with a calm mind, seeing possibilities and solutions that may have been overlooked in the midst of agitation. In moments of mental restlessness, silence also serves as a form of self-compassion. It is an act of giving yourself permission to step away from the demands of the world and turn inward. This inward focus is not selfish. It is necessary for healing and renewal. In silence, you can acknowledge your own needs and tend to them without the distractions of external expectations. The ability to calm a restless mind through silence is not about perfection, but practice. Restlessness will inevitably arise, and the mind will wander. That is its nature. The power of silence lies in its ability to bring the wandering mind back, gently and without judgment. Each return to silence strengthens the mind's ability to find calm, creating a foundation of resilience that extends beyond moments of restlessness. Silence also teaches patience. When the mind is restless, there is often a sense of urgency, a need to resolve or escape the discomfort. Silence challenges this urgency, reminding you that not everything needs to be resolved immediately. It creates a space to sit with discomfort, to allow it to be without trying to fix or change it. This patience transforms restlessness into a temporary state rather than a permanent condition. The practice of silence is deeply grounding. Restlessness often pulls the mind into the past or the future, creating a sense of disconnection from the present. Silence brings the mind back to the here and now, anchoring it in the only moment that truly exists. This grounding is not about denying the past or ignoring the future, but about recognizing that clarity and peace can only be found in the present. Silence also nurtures self-awareness. A restless mind is often a reactive mind, responding impulsively to internal and external triggers. Silence creates a space to pause and examine these triggers, uncovering the patterns and beliefs that drive restlessness. This awareness is the first step toward breaking these patterns and cultivating a more peaceful mind. The role of silence in calming the mind extends beyond moments of agitation. It becomes a preventative practice, reducing the frequency and intensity of restlessness over time. By incorporating silence into daily life, the mind learns to operate from a place of calm rather than reactivity. This shift is not dramatic but gradual, unfolding as a natural result of consistent practice. The benefits of silence are not limited to the individual. A calm mind creates a ripple effect, influencing the way you interact with others and the world. When your mind is at peace, you are better able to approach situations with kindness, patience, and understanding. This not only enhances your own well-being, but also contributes to the harmony of your environment. Silence also enhances gratitude. In the stillness, you become more aware of the small, often overlooked blessings in your life. This awareness shifts the focus from what is missing to what is present, fostering a sense of contentment and appreciation. Gratitude, in turn, calms the mind by redirecting attention away from stress and toward abundance. Restlessness is often fueled by a sense of disconnection from yourself, from others, and from the world around you. Silence bridges this gap. It reconnects you to your inner self, to the rhythm of your breath, to the sensations of your body, and to the beauty of the present moment. This connection is deeply healing, restoring a sense of wholeness that counteracts the fragmentation of restlessness. The power of silence lies in its simplicity. It does not require elaborate techniques or external tools. It is accessible at any moment, in any place, and to anyone. This accessibility makes it a practical and effective refuge for calming a restless mind. Whether you find silence in meditation, in nature, or in the quiet moments of daily life, its impact is profound. As the mind learns to rest in silence, it begins to reflect that stillness in every aspect of life. Challenges become less overwhelming, relationships become more harmonious, and the world feels less chaotic. This transformation is not a result of escaping restlessness, but of meeting it with the gentle, unwavering presence of silence. In this way, silence becomes not just a refuge, but a guide, leading the mind toward lasting peace and clarity. As silence calms the restless mind, its transformative power extends beyond the self and into the connections we form with others. The quiet strength of simply listening, without the urge to interject, fix, or dominate, opens a new dimension in relationships. When we choose to listen in silence, we create space for understanding, compassion, and a depth of connection that words alone cannot achieve. This practice, central to Zen teachings, is not merely about hearing, but about truly being present with another person. It is an art that fosters empathy and brings profound richness to every interaction. Listening without speaking challenges the norms of everyday communication. Conversations often feel like competitions, where each participant is waiting for their turn to speak, sometimes formulating responses before the other person has even finished. In this rush to be heard, the essence of the conversation is lost. Silence shifts this dynamic. It allows us to step out of the cycle of reacting and instead enter a state of receptivity. This state is not passive. It is an active engagement that requires focus, presence, and patience. When we listen in silence, we hear more than words. The tone of voice, the pauses, and the emotions behind the words become more evident. These subtleties often carry the true meaning of what is being communicated. By remaining silent, we tune into these deeper layers of expression, cultivating a fuller understanding of the other person. This understanding builds trust, as the speaker feels genuinely heard and valued, a rare experience in a world where attention is often fragmented. Silence in listening also creates a safe space for others to share openly. Many people hesitate to express themselves fully because they fear judgment or interruption. When we listen without speaking, we signal acceptance. This acceptance does not mean agreeing with everything said, but it shows respect for the speaker's experience and perspective. This respect fosters a sense of connection, even in the face of differing opinions or beliefs. In Zen practice, listening is viewed as an act of compassion. By giving someone your full attention without imposing your thoughts or solutions, you affirm their worth. This affirmation goes beyond the surface level of interaction. It acknowledges the shared humanity in both the listener and the speaker. In this mutual recognition, the boundaries of separation dissolve, replaced by a sense of unity and empathy. Listening without speaking also transforms our understanding of communication. We often think of communication as the exchange of ideas or information, but in truth, much of it is about being present. When we listen silently, we're not just receiving information, we're offering our presence. This presence is a gift that communicates more than words ever could. It says, "I see you, I hear you, you matter." The practice of silent listening also teaches humility. It requires us to set aside our ego, the part of us that wants to be right, to be heard, to dominate the conversation. In silence, we learn to let go of the need to prove ourselves or control the narrative. This humility opens the door to genuine learning. Each conversation becomes an opportunity to understand something new, to see the world through another's eyes, and to expand our own perspective. Silent listening is not about suppressing your voice indefinitely, but about discerning when your voice is truly needed. Often, the most meaningful contributions come not from speaking immediately, but from first listening deeply. Silence allows us to respond with intention rather than impulsively. This considered response carries a weight and authenticity that rushed words cannot achieve. By listening without speaking, we also develop patience. Conversations, especially challenging ones, often test our ability to remain calm and present. Silence teaches us to endure discomfort without reacting, to sit with uncertainty without rushing to fill the void. This patience is not passive. It is a strength that allows us to hold space for others, even when emotions run high. The benefits of silent listening are not limited to personal relationships. They extend to every area of life. In professional settings, for example, listening without speaking can lead to better decision-making and collaboration. When people feel heard, they are more likely to share their ideas openly, fostering an environment of creativity and trust. In conflicts, silent listening can de-escalate tension and pave the way for resolution by showing a willingness to understand rather than dominate. Silent listening also deepens our connection to ourselves. By practicing it with others, we cultivate the ability to listen to our own inner voice. This inner listening is essential for self-awareness and growth. Just as we hear more when we listen silently to others, we understand ourselves more deeply when we create space for our own thoughts and emotions to arise without judgment or interruption. The act of listening in silence also enhances our emotional intelligence. By focusing on the speaker without distraction, we become more attuned to their emotional state. This attunement allows us to respond with empathy, strengthening the bond between listener and speaker. Over time, this practice sharpens our ability to read and navigate the emotions of others, enriching our relationships and interactions. Listening silently doesn't mean agreeing with everything you hear. It is not about losing your voice, but about choosing when and how to use it. Silent listening gives you the clarity to understand what truly needs to be said and what is better left unspoken. This discernment is a hallmark of wisdom, transforming conversations from reactive exchanges into meaningful dialogues. In moments of silence, the energy of the conversation shifts. The speaker feels the space to explore their thoughts more fully, often uncovering insights they might not have reached otherwise. This space is a form of co-creation, where both listener and speaker contribute to a deeper understanding simply by being present together. The practice of silent listening also cultivates gratitude. By focusing on the act of listening, we begin to appreciate the richness of each interaction. Every conversation becomes an opportunity to learn, to connect, and to grow. This gratitude transforms even the simplest exchanges into moments of meaning and joy. In a world that often values speaking over listening, the act of silent listening is a quiet revolution. It challenges the norm of constant output and invites us into a space of receptivity. This receptivity is not about passivity, but about presence, a presence that enriches every relationship and interaction. Silent listening also helps to dissolve misunderstandings. Many conflicts arise not from malice, but from miscommunication. When we listen without speaking, we create a space for clarity to emerge. We allow the speaker to express themselves fully, often revealing nuances that might have been missed in a hurried exchange. This clarity builds bridges of understanding, even in challenging situations. In the silence of listening, we also discover the power of pause. The space between words becomes as significant as the words themselves, creating a rhythm that brings balance to the conversation. This rhythm reflects the natural flow of life, where moments of stillness are as essential as moments of action. The practice of listening without speaking is not always easy. It requires discipline, patience, and a willingness to set aside our own agenda. But the rewards are profound. It transforms the way we communicate, deepens our connections with others, and enriches our understanding of the world. Through this practice, we learn that silence is not emptiness, but fullness, a space where compassion, empathy, and meaningful connection thrive. As the art of listening in silence deepens empathy and connection, a new challenge arises: how to respond when silence is not just a choice, but a necessity. Gossip and negativity, though common, carry a unique power to pull us into their orbit. Words spoken in these moments can harm reputations, create divisions, and compromise personal values. Yet, silence in the face of gossip is not passive. It is an active stand for integrity, wisdom, and self-respect. Choosing not to engage is a decision that protects both your peace and the dignity of those involved. Gossip thrives on participation. It draws strength from those who listen, react, and add their own voice to the narrative. Silence interrupts this cycle. By choosing not to contribute, you withhold the energy that fuels negativity. This choice is not about ignoring what is being said, but about making a conscious decision to rise above it. In this way, silence becomes a powerful statement, one that reflects strength and self-control. Engaging with gossip often feels tempting because it offers a sense of connection or shared experience. But this connection comes at a cost, one that erodes trust and respect. Silence preserves the integrity of relationships by refusing to partake in the kind of talk that undermines others. It shows that you value honesty and kindness over fleeting moments of camaraderie built on negativity. When negativity arises, silence acts as a boundary. It protects you from being pulled into the emotional weight of the conversation. Listening to gossip or negative talk without reaction does not mean agreeing. It means choosing not to amplify the harm. This restraint demonstrates wisdom, as it acknowledges that not every comment deserves a response. By staying silent, you maintain your peace while signaling that you will not be a participant in spreading harm. Choosing silence in the face of gossip also sets an example for others. It creates an opportunity for reflection, as those involved may begin to question their own words and intentions. Your silence challenges the assumption that negativity is acceptable or normal. It shifts the dynamic of the conversation, often steering it toward a more constructive or neutral direction without the need for confrontation. In Buddhist philosophy, there's a deep respect for the power of words and the consequences they carry. Gossip is often born from misunderstanding, insecurity, or the desire to feel superior. Silence in response to such talk is not just an act of restraint, but an act of compassion. It refrains from judgment and avoids adding to the cycle of harm. Instead, silence becomes a way of breaking that cycle, creating a pause that allows for mindfulness and self-awareness. Negativity, like gossip, has a way of spreading quickly. infecting conversations and mindsets. Silence acts as a shield, preventing this energy from taking hold. It creates a barrier between you and the toxicity of the moment, allowing you to remain grounded and unaffected. This kind of silence is not avoidance. It is a conscious choice to protect your well-being and the integrity of your interactions. Remaining silent does not mean ignoring the impact of gossip or negativity. It means choosing a response that reflects your values. Often, the most powerful way to address harmful talk is through action rather than words. Silence, paired with a consistent display of respect and kindness, speaks volumes about your character. It shows that you value integrity over the fleeting satisfaction of tearing others down. Silence in the face of negativity also cultivates self-discipline. The urge to join in, to defend yourself, or to correct misinformation can be strong. But by resisting this urge, you strengthen your ability to act with intention rather than impulse. This self-control extends beyond moments of gossip, influencing the way you approach challenges and conflicts in all areas of life. There is a profound sense of freedom in choosing silence when confronted with negativity. It frees you from the need to justify, explain, or align yourself with a particular perspective. Instead, you stand firmly in your own truth, unaffected by the opinions or judgments of others. This freedom is not about detachment from others, but about staying true to yourself in the midst of external pressures. Silence also fosters reflection, both for yourself and for those around you. In the pause created by your silence, there is an opportunity to examine the motivations behind gossip or negativity. What drives this behavior? What insecurities or fears lie beneath it? By choosing not to engage, you create space for these questions to surface, offering a chance for deeper understanding and growth. In relationships, silence in response to gossip builds trust. It shows that you can be relied upon to protect the dignity of others, even in their absence. This trust is invaluable, strengthening the bonds between you and those who value respect and honesty. Over time, your choice to remain silent in such moments sets a standard for how you wish to be treated and how you expect others to treat one another. Silence also nurtures resilience. Negativity can be draining, pulling energy away from what truly matters. By staying silent, you conserve your energy for more meaningful pursuits. This resilience allows you to navigate difficult conversations with grace, keeping your focus on the positive aspects of life rather than being weighed down by unnecessary drama. In professional settings, silence in the face of gossip and negativity is particularly impactful. It maintains a sense of professionalism and fosters an environment of respect. By refusing to engage in harmful talk, you set a tone that encourages collaboration and mutual support rather than division and mistrust. This kind of leadership, even if unspoken, has a ripple effect, influencing the culture of the workplace in positive ways. Choosing silence is also an act of self-respect. It reflects a commitment to your own values and well-being. When you refuse to participate in gossip or negativity, you affirm your worth and your ability to rise above pettiness. This self-respect is contagious, inspiring others to approach conversations with the same level of mindfulness and integrity. At its core, silence in the face of gossip is an expression of wisdom. It recognizes that words, once spoken, cannot be taken back. By remaining silent, you avoid contributing to harm while preserving your own peace. This wisdom is not about avoiding difficult topics, but about choosing to approach them with care and intention. The impact of choosing silence extends far beyond the moment. It creates a foundation of trust, respect, and authenticity in your relationships. It fosters a culture of kindness and understanding, where negativity and gossip lose their power. Most importantly, it allows you to move through life with a sense of clarity and purpose, unburdened by the weight of unnecessary conflict. By embracing silence in the face of gossip and negativity, you align yourself with a higher standard of communication, one that values integrity, compassion, and the well-being of all involved. This choice, though simple, carries profound consequences, transforming not only your interactions, but also the way you experience the world. Silence, in this context, is not just the absence of speech, it is the presence of wisdom. As silence reveals its power in resisting gossip and negativity, it takes on an even deeper meaning in the realm of human suffering. Pain and loss are universal experiences, yet words often fail to bridge the chasm they create. In these moments, silence becomes a balm, not in what it says, but in what it allows. It creates a space where presence speaks louder than language, and where compassion is felt through quiet connection rather than well-intentioned phrases. A silent presence offers comfort that transcends explanation, respecting the depth of another's grief without trying to fill it. Suffering often isolates. Pain creates a barrier that words cannot always penetrate. Well-meaning attempts to console through advice or explanations can unintentionally distance us from the one who is grieving. Silence, on the other hand, respects the sacredness of the moment. It acknowledges that no words can truly capture the complexity of sorrow, and that trying to fix it may unintentionally dismiss its depth. In this way, silence becomes a profound act of respect, allowing the person to feel seen and supported without intrusion. When you sit silently with someone in pain, you offer your presence as a steady anchor. This presence says, "I am here with you," without the need to define or resolve the experience. It holds space for emotions to flow naturally, whether they manifest as tears, anger, or silence in return. This kind of support does not seek to change the person's feelings, but to honor them, giving permission for pain to exist without judgment or urgency to move past it. Silence also offers the grieving person a rare and precious gift: the freedom to express themselves without interruption. It removes the pressure to respond or articulate their experience in a way that makes sense to others. Instead, it allows them to sit with their emotions, to feel them fully, and to process them at their own pace. This is not about avoiding conversation, but about creating a space where the person can speak if they wish, knowing they will be met with patience and understanding. The power of silence in times of suffering lies in its simplicity. It does not demand anything of the person who is hurting. It does not ask them to explain or justify their feelings. Instead, it offers unconditional presence. This presence reassures them that they are not alone, even in their darkest moments. It is a reminder that connection does not always require words, that sometimes just being there is enough. Pain can feel overwhelming and chaotic, and the presence of someone who is calm and silent can help bring a sense of stability. This stability is not about fixing or solving, but about being a steady presence in the storm. Silence conveys strength, not the kind that denies emotion, but the kind that can hold it without being swept away. This strength becomes a source of comfort, showing the person in pain that they do not need to hold everything together alone. Silence during suffering also reflects humility. It acknowledges that you cannot fully understand another person's pain, and that your role is not to have all the answers. This humility creates space for genuine connection, free from the expectations or assumptions that words can sometimes carry. By being silent, you let go of the need to control the situation or the conversation, allowing the person to guide the interaction based on their own needs. A quiet presence can also help to ground someone who is feeling overwhelmed by their emotions. In the midst of suffering, it is easy to feel untethered, as though the weight of grief has disconnected you from the world. The silent presence of another person can serve as an anchor, gently bringing the grieving person back to a sense of safety and connection. This grounding is not about distracting from the pain, but about reminding them that they are not alone in it. The practice of silence in these moments is deeply compassionate. Compassion is not about fixing or taking away pain, but about being willing to sit with it, to witness it, and to hold space for it without fear or discomfort. Silence embodies this compassion, showing that you are willing to be present even when the emotions are raw and the situation is difficult. This willingness is a powerful expression of care, offering solace without the need for words. Silence also allows for reflection, not just for the person who is suffering, but for you as the one offering support. It gives you the opportunity to tune into their needs, to observe their body language and emotional cues, and to respond in ways that are truly helpful. This kind of attentiveness deepens the connection, showing that your support is rooted in genuine understanding rather than assumptions. In moments of suffering, silence becomes a bridge. It connects you to the person in pain without the distractions or barriers that words can create. This connection is not about agreement or advice, but about shared presence. It is a reminder that even in the face of great pain, we are not separate, that our humanity binds us in ways that transcend language. For the grieving person, silence can be a source of strength. It creates a space where they can sit with their emotions without feeling the need to suppress or perform. This space allows for healing to begin, not through avoidance of pain, but through the gentle process of accepting and integrating it. Silence does not rush this process. It honors its natural rhythm, offering support without imposing expectations. There is also a timelessness to silence during suffering. Words often feel bound by time, rushing to fill the moment or move it forward. Silence, however, allows the moment to simply be. It creates a sense of stillness that can be deeply comforting, reminding the grieving person that they are allowed to take their time, that there is no need to hurry through their pain. The power of silence in times of suffering extends beyond the immediate moment. It leaves a lasting impression, showing the person that they are valued, not for what they can say or do, but simply for who they are. This kind of support builds trust, strengthening the relationship and creating a foundation of care that endures even after the pain has subsided. Silence also protects the dignity of the person who is grieving. Pain can make people feel vulnerable and exposed, and words, even well-meaning ones, can sometimes amplify this vulnerability. Silence respects their need for privacy and autonomy, allowing them to process their emotions in their own way and at their own pace. When silence is paired with presence, it becomes an act of love. It says, without words, that you are willing to stand with the person in their pain, that you will not shy away from their suffering or try to minimize it. This kind of love is not about grand gestures, but about the quiet, steady commitment to being there, no matter how difficult the moment may be. Suffering is a deeply human experience, one that often defies explanation or resolution. Silence honors this humanity. It recognizes that pain is not something to be fixed or solved, but something to be witnessed and held with care. In this way, silence becomes not just a response, but a gift of presence, respect, and unwavering support. In offering silent support, you also learn to embrace your own discomfort. Witnessing someone else's pain can be challenging, stirring up feelings of helplessness or uncertainty. But by choosing silence, you acknowledge that your role is not to eliminate their pain, but to stand with them in it. This acceptance deepens your own capacity for compassion and resilience, strengthening not only your relationships, but your own sense of self. Through silence, we learn that the most profound comfort often comes not from what is said, but from what is shared. It is a reminder that presence, patience, and compassion can speak louder than any words, offering a kind of solace that transcends language and touches the heart directly. In this way, silence becomes a light in the darkness, a steady presence that says, without saying, "You are not alone." As silence reveals its power to comfort others in their pain, its transformative depth also turns inward, opening doors to self-discovery and personal growth. Silence is not merely an absence of sound, but a space where truths surface, hidden patterns come to light, and clarity emerges. In the quiet, the noise of the world fades, leaving behind only what truly matters. This silence is not empty, it is rich with insight, offering a profound opportunity to reconnect with oneself and uncover the layers of who we are. Reflective silence is an act of courage. It requires stepping away from the constant distractions that keep us from facing our thoughts and emotions. Many people avoid silence, fearing what they might find in its stillness. Yet, it is in this space that the most authentic parts of ourselves are revealed. It is where we confront the questions we have been avoiding and uncover answers that are not always easy, but are undeniably true. This kind of silence fosters introspection, allowing us to explore the depths of our thoughts without judgment or interruption. It creates a safe space where we can examine our beliefs, habits, and motivations with honesty. Reflective silence is not about self-criticism, but about self-awareness. It helps us see where we are, where we've been, and where we might go. This clarity is not always immediate. It unfolds gradually as layers of distraction and pretense are stripped away. In the practice of reflective silence, we learn to sit with discomfort. Growth is rarely comfortable, and silence often brings to the surface emotions or memories we would rather avoid. But by facing these truths head-on, we begin to heal. Reflective silence teaches us that avoiding pain only prolongs it, while confronting it with gentleness and honesty allows it to transform into wisdom. Silence also deepens our understanding of our desires and intentions. In the busyness of daily life, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters. Reflective silence gives us the space to reconnect with our values and priorities. It helps us discern between what we truly want and what we have been conditioned to want. This discernment is the foundation of a life lived authentically, guided by our own principles rather than external expectations. The stillness of reflective silence also fosters gratitude. When the noise of the world fades, we become more attuned to the simple joys that often go unnoticed: a steady breath, a fleeting moment of peace, the quiet presence of life itself. Gratitude arises naturally in this space, grounding us in the present and shifting our perspective from lack to abundance. This shift is not about ignoring challenges, but about recognizing the beauty that exists alongside them. Reflective silence is a mirror, showing us both our strengths and our areas for growth. It allows us to celebrate our progress while also acknowledging where we can improve. This balance of acceptance and aspiration is key to personal growth. It reminds us that we are always evolving, and that each moment of silence is an opportunity to align more closely with our truest selves. In the practice of reflective silence, we also cultivate patience. Self-discovery is not a destination, but a journey, one that unfolds in its own time. Silence teaches us to let go of the need for immediate answers and to trust the process of introspection. This patience extends beyond ourselves, helping us approach others with greater understanding and compassion. Reflective silence also strengthens resilience. By sitting with our thoughts and emotions without turning away, we develop the inner strength to navigate life's challenges with grace. This resilience is not about suppressing emotions, but about learning to hold them without being overwhelmed. Silence becomes a training ground for this strength, teaching us to remain centered even in the face of uncertainty. The insights gained through reflective silence often lead to greater self-compassion. In the quiet, we begin to see ourselves more clearly, not as flawed or incomplete, but as human. This understanding fosters a sense of kindness toward ourselves, allowing us to approach our struggles with empathy rather than judgment. This self-compassion is not only healing, but also empowering, giving us the courage to continue growing. Reflective silence also enhances creativity. When the mind is not preoccupied with external noise, it has the freedom to explore new ideas and perspectives. This exploration often leads to insights and solutions that would not have been possible in the midst of distraction. Creativity thrives in the spaciousness of silence, where the mind is free to wander and imagine without constraint. In the stillness of reflective silence, we also reconnect with our intuition. The noise of the world often drowns out this inner voice, leaving us disconnected from our own wisdom. Silence creates the conditions for intuition to be heard, guiding us toward decisions and actions that align with our deepest values. This connection to intuition is not mystical, but deeply practical, helping us navigate life with clarity and confidence. Reflective silence also strengthens our connection to the world around us. By quieting the mind, we become more attuned to the rhythms of nature and the subtle interconnectedness of life. This awareness fosters a sense of humility and gratitude, reminding us of our place within the larger tapestry of existence. It is in this awareness that we find a sense of purpose and belonging that transcends the individual self. The practice of reflective silence also enhances our relationships. By gaining a deeper understanding of ourselves, we become better equipped to understand and connect with others. This understanding fosters empathy, patience, and authenticity in our interactions, enriching the quality of our relationships and strengthening the bonds we share. Reflective silence is not about isolation, but about connection. Connection to ourselves, to others, and to the world around us. It is a reminder that beneath the noise of daily life lies a profound depth of meaning and insight waiting to be discovered. By embracing this silence, we open ourselves to a life of greater clarity, purpose, and fulfillment. In the end, reflective silence is a practice of coming home to ourselves. It is a space where we can rest, heal, and grow. It is a reminder that we are not defined by the noise of the world, but by the quiet truth of who we are. Through this practice, we discover that silence is not an absence, but a presence that holds the power to transform and guide us toward our most authentic selves. As reflective silence deepens our understanding of ourselves, it opens a pathway to something greater, a reconnection with the world beyond our own thoughts. Nature, in its stillness, becomes a sanctuary where silence speaks its loudest. It is in the quiet of forests, the rhythm of waves, and the vastness of open skies that we rediscover a sense of belonging. This connection is not forced. It flows naturally when we step away from the noise and immerse ourselves in the silent harmony of the natural world. The silence of nature is profound. It is not the absence of sound, but a symphony of subtle rhythms, the rustle of leaves, the chirping of birds, the distant hum of a stream. These sounds remind us that life is always moving, always creating, and yet it does so without urgency. Being in this kind of silence invites us to slow down, to breathe deeply, and to align ourselves with the natural pace of life. In these moments, we feel the weight of stress and distraction begin to lift, replaced by a sense of peace and clarity. Nature offers a unique kind of silence, one that is alive with presence. Unlike the constructed quiet of a closed room, the silence of the natural world feels expansive, enveloping, and timeless. This silence reminds us that we are part of something much larger than ourselves. It shifts our perspective, pulling us out of the narrow focus of daily concerns and into the vastness of existence. This shift is humbling and grounding, helping us reconnect with the simplicity and beauty of life. In the silence of nature, the mind finds space to rest. The constant demands of modern life, notifications, deadlines, conversations, fade into the background. What remains is a sense of clarity that is difficult to achieve elsewhere. This clarity is not about solving problems, but about seeing things as they truly are. Nature has a way of stripping away the unnecessary, leaving only what is essential. In this space, we often find answers that have been eluding us, not through effort, but through stillness. The connection between silence and nature also deepens our sense of gratitude. When we pause and truly observe the natural world, we begin to notice details that are often overlooked. A drop of dew on a blade of grass, the intricate patterns of tree bark, the way sunlight filters through leaves. These moments remind us of the richness of life, a richness that exists whether we notice it or not. Gratitude arises naturally in this awareness, filling us with a sense of awe and appreciation for the world around us. Practicing silence in nature also fosters humility. The vastness of a mountain range, the endless horizon of the ocean, the ancient stillness of a desert, all these remind us of our place within the larger web of life. This humility is not about feeling small or insignificant. It is about recognizing that we are part of something much greater. This recognition brings a sense of peace as it shifts our focus from the self to the interconnectedness of all things. In nature's silence, we also reconnect with our senses. The noise of daily life often dulls our awareness, pulling our attention in too many directions at once. But in the quiet of nature, we begin to notice the texture of the earth beneath our feet, the scent of pine in the air, the warmth of the sun on our skin. These sensory experiences anchor us in the present moment, creating a deep sense of presence and vitality. The practice of silence in nature also teaches us to listen, not just with our ears, but with our whole being. Nature is constantly communicating, not in words, but in gestures, patterns, and rhythms. The way a river carves through stone, the way flowers bloom and fade with the seasons, the way animals move in harmony with their surroundings. All these are lessons in patience, resilience, and balance. By listening silently, we begin to understand these lessons, not intellectually, but intuitively. Silence in nature also fosters creativity. The spaciousness of the natural world creates a fertile ground for ideas to arise. Without the distractions of technology or conversation, the mind is free to wander and explore. This kind of creative thinking is not forced. It flows naturally from the stillness, often leading to insights and inspiration that feel as though they come from the earth itself. The connection we feel in nature's silence is also deeply healing. The natural world operates without judgment, without expectation. It simply is. This unconditional presence creates a safe space for us to let go of our defenses and be fully ourselves. In this space, we often find that the wounds we carry begin to heal, not through effort, but through the gentle support of the environment around us. Practicing silence in nature also deepens our understanding of impermanence, the changing of seasons, the cycles of growth and decay, the endless ebb and flow of tides. All these remind us that nothing in life is static. This awareness is not meant to evoke fear, but to inspire us to live with greater intention and presence. In nature, we see that impermanence is not an ending, but a continuous process of transformation, one that we are an integral part of. In the silence of nature, we also find a sense of freedom. The rules and expectations of society fall away, leaving only the purity of the present moment. This freedom allows us to reconnect with our true selves, free from the roles we play or the identities we cling to. It is a liberation that is not about escaping life, but about fully embracing it. Nature's silence also fosters resilience. The natural world is a testament to endurance and adaptation, to the strength that comes from working in harmony with the environment rather than against it. When we immerse ourselves in this silence, we absorb some of that strength. It reminds us that we too are capable of weathering storms and finding balance, no matter how turbulent life may seem. The practice of silence in nature also nurtures a sense of stewardship. When we experience the peace and clarity that nature provides, we feel a natural desire to protect and preserve it. This sense of responsibility is not born from obligation, but from gratitude and respect. It is a recognition that the well-being of the natural world is intertwined with our own. In nature's silence, we also rediscover joy. The simplicity of watching a bird take flight, the playfulness of a stream rushing over rocks, the serenity of a star-filled sky. All these moments remind us that joy does not need to be sought. It is always present, waiting to be noticed. This joy is not fleeting. It is a deep contentment that arises from being fully present in the world. The connection we cultivate in nature's silence is not something we leave behind when we return to daily life. It becomes a part of us, a source of strength and clarity that we can draw on at any time. This connection reminds us that silence is not just a practice, but a way of being, one that roots us in the beauty and resilience of the world around us. In embracing the silence of nature, we rediscover a sense of wonder, a wonder that reminds us of the infinite possibilities that exist within and around us. This wonder is not about seeking answers, but about appreciating the mystery and majesty of life itself. Through this practice, we find that silence is not an escape, but a homecoming, a return to the essence of who we are and the world we are part of. The silence found in nature teaches us profound lessons about presence and connection. It is here that silence takes on another dimension, transforming from a place of solace into a tool for deep learning and understanding. In the Buddhist perspective, silence is not an absence, but a space where the mind opens fully to absorb, reflect, and internalize knowledge. Learning through silence goes beyond retaining facts. It is about cultivating wisdom that touches the heart and changes the way we experience the world. In a world driven by constant information, learning often feels like a race to consume and produce. Words, opinions, and data fill our days, leaving little room for reflection. Silence interrupts this cycle, creating a pause that allows the mind to breathe. In this pause, learning becomes more than an accumulation of knowledge. It becomes a transformative experience. The quiet creates space for understanding to deepen, for thoughts to settle, and for clarity to emerge. Silence in learning is a way to listen more effectively. Listening is often misunderstood as simply hearing what is said, but true listening requires a silent mind. It involves setting aside preconceived notions and judgments to fully receive what is being communicated. This kind of listening is rare and powerful. It not only enhances comprehension, but also fosters a deeper connection to the source of the knowledge, whether it is a teacher, a book, or the world itself. Reflection is a natural extension of silent learning. When we pause to reflect, we allow information to integrate into our understanding. This process is not passive. It is an active engagement with what we've learned. Reflection in silence gives us the opportunity to question, to explore, and to connect new insights with existing knowledge. This connection strengthens retention as the learning becomes woven into the fabric of our thinking rather than remaining as isolated facts. Silence also enhances critical thinking. In the rush to respond or produce, there is often little time to examine ideas deeply. Silence provides the necessary space to evaluate concepts, to consider multiple perspectives, and to uncover underlying assumptions. This depth of thought transforms learning from mere memorization into a process of discovery. It allows us to approach knowledge with curiosity and humility, knowing that every answer is an invitation to further questions. The Buddhist perspective emphasizes the importance of mindfulness in learning. Silence is a natural companion to mindfulness, as it anchors attention in the present moment. In silence, distractions fade, and the mind becomes fully engaged with the task at hand. This focus not only enhances understanding, but also brings a sense of fulfillment to the learning process. It shifts the experience from a chore to a practice of presence and growth. Silence also nurtures patience, an essential quality for meaningful learning. In a culture that values quick answers and immediate results, silence reminds us that true understanding takes time. It teaches us to sit with uncertainty, to embrace the process of learning without rushing to conclusions. This patience creates a fertile ground for insight to arise naturally, often in ways that cannot be predicted or controlled. Through silence, we also develop the ability to learn from within. External sources of knowledge are valuable, but silence reveals the wisdom that already exists within us. It is in the quiet moments of reflection that we often gain the most profound insights, those that come not from books or lectures, but from the depths of our own experience. This inner learning is deeply personal and transformative, as it arises from a place of authenticity and self-awareness. Silence also allows us to learn from our mistakes. Failure is an inevitable part of growth, but it is often accompanied by noise, self-criticism, excuses, or distractions. In silence, we can sit with our mistakes without judgment, exploring what went wrong and why. This exploration is not about dwelling on failure, but about extracting the lessons it offers. Silence turns mistakes into opportunities for growth, teaching us resilience and self-compassion. The role of silence in learning extends to the way we interact with others. When we approach conversations with a silent mind, we become more open to different perspectives. This openness enriches our understanding, as we learn not only from what others say, but also from how they say it. Silence in dialogue fosters mutual respect and creates a space where learning becomes a shared experience rather than a competition. Silence also teaches us to observe. In the stillness, we notice details that might otherwise be overlooked, the subtle nuances of a text, the unspoken emotions behind a conversation, or the patterns in nature that reveal underlying truths. This observation is not passive. It is an active engagement with the world that sharpens our perception and deepens our understanding. In the Buddhist tradition, silence is often used as a tool for self-inquiry. Questions such as, "Who am I?" or "What is the nature of reality?" are explored not through debate or argument, but through silent reflection. This process does not seek definitive answers, but encourages a deep and ongoing inquiry. The silence becomes a mirror, reflecting back the truth of our experiences and guiding us toward greater wisdom. The practice of learning through silence also fosters humility. It reminds us that there is always more to learn, that knowledge is infinite and ever-evolving. This humility keeps us open to new ideas and prevents us from becoming rigid in our thinking. It allows us to approach learning with a sense of wonder, seeing each moment as an opportunity to grow and expand. Silence also creates space for gratitude in learning. In the quiet, we become aware of the gift of knowledge, whether it comes from a teacher, a book, or the world around us. This gratitude transforms learning into a sacred act, one that connects us to the people and experiences that shape our understanding. It reminds us that we are not alone in our quest for wisdom, but part of a larger tapestry of shared discovery. Through silence, we also learn to let go. The mind often clings to fixed ideas or resists new perspectives, creating barriers to understanding. Silence softens these barriers, allowing us to release what no longer serves us and embrace what does. This letting go is not about forgetting, but about making room for growth, creating a space where learning can flow freely and naturally. Silence also reveals the interconnectedness of knowledge. In the stillness, we begin to see how seemingly unrelated ideas are woven together, how one insight leads to another, and how learning is a continuous process of integration. This awareness deepens our appreciation for the complexity and beauty of the world, fostering a sense of awe that inspires further exploration. The transformative power of silence in learning lies in its ability to connect us to both ourselves and the world around us. It is a practice of presence, patience, and humility that enriches every aspect of our understanding. Through silence, learning becomes more than an accumulation of facts. It becomes a journey of self-discovery and a pathway to wisdom. In this way, silence is not just a tool for learning, but a teacher in its own right, guiding us toward a deeper and more meaningful engagement with life. As silence reveals its role in learning and reflection, it unveils an even deeper purpose in the face of grief and loss. When words fail and emotions feel too vast to contain, silence becomes a sanctuary. It creates a sacred space where sorrow can exist without interruption, offering both solace and strength. In the profound stillness of silence, there is room to mourn, to process, and to begin the slow journey of healing. This silence is not empty. It is filled with presence and meaning, providing what no words ever could. Grief is a deeply personal experience, yet it is often accompanied by societal expectations of how it should be expressed or resolved. Silence offers freedom from these expectations. It allows each person to navigate their loss in their own way, at their own pace. In silence, There is no pressure to explain, justify, or perform grief. Instead, there is space to feel fully and authentically, without fear of judgment or misunderstanding. The silence surrounding grief is not about avoidance, but about acknowledgement. It says, without words, this is real, this is significant. It honors the weight of the loss and the depth of the emotions it brings. This acknowledgement is vital, as it validates the mourner's experience and creates a foundation for healing. Without this foundation, the process of grief may feel fragmented or incomplete. Silence also allows grief to unfold naturally. Emotions during mourning are rarely linear. They rise and fall like waves, often unpredictably. In silence, there is no need to control or suppress these emotions. They are given the freedom to flow, to rise and fall as they will. This flow is essential for healing, as it allows the mourner to move through their pain rather than becoming stuck in it. For those offering support, silence is a powerful way to be present without intruding. Grief often brings a sense of isolation, as though no one can truly understand the depth of the pain. A silent presence bridges this isolation, offering connection without requiring anything in return. This presence is an act of love and compassion, one that says, I am here with you, without trying to take the pain away or fill the void with words. Silence also respects the mourner's need for space. In times of loss, the noise of the world can feel overwhelming, making it difficult to process emotions or even think clearly. By offering silence, we create a sanctuary, a quiet place where the mourner can simply be. This sanctuary is not about fixing or solving, but about holding space, about allowing the person to sit with their grief in a way that feels safe and supported. Grief is often accompanied by questions that have no easy answers. Why did this happen? What does this loss mean for my life? Silence creates a space for these questions to arise without the need for resolution. It allows the mourner to sit with uncertainty, to explore these questions in their own time and in their own way. This exploration is not about finding answers, but about making peace with the unknown. The stillness of silence also creates room for memories. During grief, the mind often returns to moments shared with the person or thing that has been lost. These memories can bring both comfort and pain, and silence provides the space for both. It allows the mourner to revisit these memories without interruption, to hold on to what is meaningful and let go of what no longer serves them. This process of remembering is a vital part of healing, as it helps to integrate the loss into the fabric of life. In silence, there is also an opportunity for gratitude. This gratitude is not about denying the pain of the loss, but about recognizing the value of what was. It is about honoring the love, joy, or meaning that the lost person or thing brought into life. This gratitude does not erase the grief, but it can bring moments of light into the darkness, moments that remind the mourner of the enduring beauty of connection. The power of silence during grief extends beyond the individual. It fosters a sense of connection and understanding among those who are mourning together. Shared silence creates a collective space for processing and remembering, one that is not dominated by any single voice, but held by the presence of all involved. This shared silence can be deeply healing, as it reinforces the idea that no one is truly alone in their grief. Silence also invites reflection. During times of loss, it is natural to reflect on the meaning of life, the nature of impermanence, and the connections that make life meaningful. These reflections are deeply personal and often difficult to articulate. Silence creates the space for them to unfold naturally, allowing the mourner to explore these thoughts without the pressure of expressing them to others. For those supporting someone in grief, silence requires restraint and humility. It is natural to want to offer comfort through words, to try to make things better or provide solutions. But grief is not a problem to be solved. It is an experience to be witnessed and honored. Silence allows us to step back, to let go of our own need to fix, and to simply be present with the person who is mourning. Silence during grief also fosters resilience. It teaches us that we can sit with pain without being consumed by it, that we can hold space for sorrow without losing ourselves in it. This resilience is not about suppressing emotions, but about learning to coexist with them, to carry them with grace as we move through life. In the silence of mourning, there's also room for hope. This hope is not about denying the pain of the present, but about trusting in the possibility of healing. It is a quiet, steady hope that arises naturally in the stillness, reminding the mourner that even in the depths of loss, life continues. This hope is not forced. It grows slowly and gently, nurtured by the space that silence provides. Silence also allows for the presence of the sacred. Whether through prayer, meditation, or simply sitting in stillness, silence creates a connection to something greater than ourselves. This connection can bring comfort and perspective, reminding us that loss is a part of the larger cycle of life. It helps us to see that while the pain of grief is real, it is not the whole story. Through silence, we also learn to honor the process of grief. Mourning is not a linear journey. It is a winding path that takes time and patience. Silence teaches us to respect this process, to let it unfold in its own way, rather than trying to rush or control it. This respect is an act of kindness, both to ourselves and to those we support. The healing power of silence during grief is profound. It provides a space for emotions to be felt, for memories to be cherished, and for meaning to be found. It offers a connection that goes beyond words, a presence that speaks directly to the heart. In this way, silence becomes not just a response to grief, but a companion in it, one that walks with us as we navigate the depths of loss and the path toward healing. As silence comforts the grieving and nurtures healing, it reveals yet another layer of its transformative potential, its ability to bring mindfulness and meaning to the most ordinary moments of life. The mundane tasks we often rush through, such as walking, cleaning, or cooking, hold the power to become sacred acts when approached with silent focus. In these moments, silence becomes a bridge to presence, transforming everyday activities into opportunities for meditation, clarity, and connection. This is not about adding complexity to your routines, but finding depth in their simplicity. Incorporating silence into daily tasks shifts the way we approach them. Activities that may seem repetitive or insignificant take on a new significance when performed with mindful attention. Walking, for example, becomes more than just moving from one place to another. In silence, each step becomes a grounding experience. You become aware of the sensation of your feet meeting the ground, the rhythm of your breath, and the subtle changes in your surroundings. This quiet attention draws you into the present moment, freeing your mind from distractions and fostering a sense of calm. Cleaning, often viewed as a chore, transforms in silence. The act of tidying up mirrors an inner process of organizing and clearing the mind. The movements, wiping, sweeping, arranging, become rhythmic, almost ritualistic. In the quiet, there is space to reflect on the value of simplicity and order, not just in your physical space, but in your thoughts and emotions. Each motion becomes intentional, a reminder that even the smallest actions can carry meaning. Cooking, too, takes on a meditative quality when accompanied by silence. The act of preparing food involves a series of steps that, when performed mindfully, connect you to the present. Chopping vegetables, stirring a pot, or arranging a plate become acts of creation rooted in care and attention. Silence allows you to notice details you might otherwise miss: the aroma of spices, the texture of ingredients, the sound of a knife slicing through fresh produce. These sensory experiences anchor you in the here and now, turning a routine task into a celebration of nourishment and creativity. The beauty of meditative silence in everyday activities lies in its accessibility. You do not need a special setting or tools to practice it. The opportunity is always present in the tasks you already do. Folding laundry, for instance, becomes an act of mindfulness when approached with silent focus. You notice the textures of the fabric, the colors, the way the folds align. This attention transforms an otherwise mundane activity into a moment of calm and gratitude. Even the act of drinking a glass of water can become meditative when done in silence. You notice the coolness of the water, the way it feels as it quenches your thirst, the simple yet profound act of sustaining your body. In these moments, silence invites you to slow down and appreciate the richness of life's simplest pleasures. This practice of silent focus also enhances your sense of connection to the present moment. In the rush of daily life, it is easy to lose sight of the small details that make up your experience. Silence brings these details into focus, reminding you that the present is not just something to move through, but something to savor. Each moment, no matter how ordinary, becomes an opportunity to find meaning and beauty. Meditative silence in daily tasks also fosters a sense of gratitude. When you approach an activity with quiet focus, you begin to appreciate the elements that make it possible. In cooking, you might reflect on the journey of the ingredients from the earth to your plate. In walking, you might feel gratitude for the strength of your body. This awareness deepens your connection to the task, transforming it from a routine activity into a meaningful practice. Silence also creates a space for reflection during these activities. As your hands work, your mind has the freedom to wander, not aimlessly, but with a sense of openness and curiosity. This reflective space often brings clarity, insights, or a sense of peace. It is in these quiet moments that you might find solutions to problems, discover new ideas, or simply feel a deeper connection to yourself. Engaging in silent focus during daily tasks also cultivates patience. Activities like cleaning or folding laundry are not inherently exciting, yet they require attention and care. Approaching them with silence teaches you to find satisfaction in the process rather than rushing to the result. This patience extends beyond the activity itself, influencing the way you approach challenges and uncertainties in other areas of life. Through meditative silence, even walking in familiar surroundings becomes a journey of discovery. You notice the way sunlight filters through the trees, the patterns of cracks in the sidewalk, or the sound of a distant bird call. These details, often overlooked in the noise of daily life, remind you of the richness that exists in every moment. This heightened awareness nurtures a sense of wonder and curiosity, turning the ordinary into the extraordinary. The practice of silent focus also enhances your ability to be present with others. When you cultivate mindfulness in your own activities, you bring that same presence to your interactions. You become more attuned to the needs and emotions of those around you, creating deeper connections and fostering understanding. This presence is not about doing more, but about being fully engaged in whatever you are doing, whether it is listening to a friend or preparing a meal for loved ones. Meditative silence in daily tasks also strengthens your relationship with yourself. In the quiet, you become more aware of your thoughts, emotions, and patterns. This awareness is not about judgment, but about understanding. It helps you to see yourself more clearly, to recognize what brings you joy, and to let go of what no longer serves you. This self-awareness is the foundation of personal growth and fulfillment. Through silence, everyday activities become opportunities for self-expression. The way you fold a shirt, arrange a plate, or walk through a park reflects your unique rhythm and perspective. These small acts become a form of creativity, a way to bring your essence into the world. In this way, silence not only grounds you, but also allows you to celebrate your individuality. The transformative power of meditative silence lies in its ability to bring balance and harmony into daily life. It reminds you that you do not need to escape your routines to find peace. You can find it in the heart of your everyday activities. This practice is not about adding more to your life, but about uncovering the richness that is already there. In silence, even the most mundane tasks become acts of care and intention. They connect you to the present, to yourself, and to the world around you. This connection is not fleeting. It lingers, infusing your day with a sense of calm and purpose. Through meditative silence, you discover that every moment, no matter how small, holds the potential for mindfulness, meaning, and joy. As meditative silence in daily activities shows us the beauty of presence, it also reveals a profound truth. Not everything is within our control. Life often moves in ways we cannot predict or shape, bringing uncertainty, change, and challenges that test our patience and resolve. In these moments, silence becomes a guide, teaching us how to release the grip of control and embrace acceptance. It is in silence that we learn to let go, not as a surrender to powerlessness, but as a recognition of the flow of life. The human tendency to control stems from a desire for security and predictability. We often cling to plans, expectations, and outcomes, believing that they will bring us stability. Yet, life is inherently uncertain, and this resistance to its unpredictability creates stress and frustration. Silence helps us confront this reality. In the stillness, we come face to face with the truth that some things are beyond our influence. This recognition is not a defeat, but an invitation to shift our perspective, to let go of resistance and open ourselves to what is. Silence teaches us the art of patience. When we pause in silence, we step out of the cycle of reaction and allow space for things to unfold naturally. This pause is powerful. It reminds us that not every situation requires immediate action or resolution. Sometimes the best course of action is no action at all. Patience is not about waiting passively, but about trusting the process, even when the outcome is uncertain. Silence fosters this trust, showing us that life has its own rhythm and that our role is not to force, but to flow. Through silence, we learn to distinguish between what we can control and what we cannot. This clarity is liberating. It frees us from the burden of trying to manage the unmanageable, allowing us to focus our energy on what truly matters. In this way, silence becomes a tool for prioritization, helping us to let go of unnecessary struggles and embrace the simplicity of living in alignment with what is within our reach. Silence also nurtures acceptance. Acceptance is not about giving up or resigning ourselves to circumstances, but about seeing things as they are. In silence, we create space for this seeing to occur. We begin to understand that life is not something to be controlled, but something to be experienced. This understanding brings a sense of peace as we let go of the need to manipulate outcomes and instead engage fully with the present moment. Letting go of control through silence also allows us to connect with our inner strength. Control is often a response to fear, the fear of uncertainty, failure, or loss. Silence helps us confront these fears without being overwhelmed by them. It creates a safe space where we can explore our vulnerabilities and discover the resilience that lies beneath them. This resilience is not about suppressing fear, but about finding the courage to face it and move forward with grace. In situations beyond our control, silence offers a sense of grounding. When life feels chaotic or unpredictable, the stillness of silence becomes an anchor. It reminds us that even when external circumstances are uncertain, we can find stability within ourselves. This inner stability is not about controlling the world around us, but about cultivating a sense of calm and presence that carries us through whatever comes our way. Silence also deepens our understanding of impermanence. Control often arises from a desire to hold on to what we value, to preserve it exactly as it is. Yet, life is constantly changing, and silence teaches us to embrace this truth. In the quiet, we begin to see that letting go is not about loss, but about allowing space for growth and transformation. This understanding helps us to approach change with openness and curiosity rather than fear. Letting go of control through silence also strengthens our relationships. Control often manifests in our interactions with others as we try to influence their actions, choices, or feelings. This can create tension and distance. Silence, on the other hand, fosters respect and understanding. It teaches us to listen without trying to fix or direct, to be present without imposing our will. This presence strengthens the bonds of trust and connection, allowing relationships to thrive. In silence, we also discover the power of surrender. Surrender is not about giving up, but about releasing the need to dominate or dictate. It is about stepping into the flow of life with humility and openness. This surrender is an act of faith, faith in ourselves, in others, and in the natural order of things. Silence helps us cultivate this faith, showing us that letting go of control does not mean losing ourselves, but finding a deeper sense of harmony. Through silence, we also learn to let go of the need for perfection. Control often stems from a desire to make things perfect, to eliminate flaws or uncertainties, but perfection is an illusion, and the pursuit of it can lead to frustration and exhaustion. Silence teaches us to embrace imperfection, to see beauty in the messiness and unpredictability of life. This acceptance is freeing, as it allows us to approach life with a sense of playfulness and ease. Silence also reveals the interconnectedness of life. When we let go of control, we begin to see how our actions and intentions ripple through the world, influencing and being influenced by others. This awareness fosters a sense of humility and gratitude, reminding us that we are part of a larger whole. It helps us to approach life with a sense of wonder, as we recognize the intricate web of connections that shape our experiences. Letting go of control through silence also enhances our ability to adapt. Life is full of unexpected twists and turns, and the ability to adapt is essential for navigating them with resilience. Silence creates the space for this adaptability to emerge. It helps us to release rigid expectations and embrace the opportunities that arise from change. This flexibility is not about compromising our values, but about finding new ways to express and honor them. Through silence, we also cultivate a sense of peace. Control often creates tension as we strive to manage or resist what is happening. Silence dissolves this tension, reminding us that peace is not found in controlling the external world, but in aligning ourselves with it. This peace is not passive but active. It is a state of engagement with life that is rooted in acceptance and presence. Silence also teaches us to let go of the past. Control often lingers in the form of regret or attachment to what has been. In silence, we find the courage to release these attachments, to let go of what no longer serves us. This letting go is not about forgetting, but about making space for the present, for the life that is unfolding here and now. Letting go of control through silence is a practice of freedom. It frees us from the constraints of fear, expectation, and resistance, allowing us to live more fully and authentically. This freedom is not about doing whatever we want, but about aligning ourselves with the flow of life, finding balance and harmony in each moment. In silence, we discover that letting go of control is not a loss, but a gain. It is a gain of clarity, of peace, of connection. It is an invitation to step into the rhythm of life with openness and trust, to embrace the unknown with curiosity and courage. Through this practice, we find that silence is not just a tool for letting go, but a pathway to living with greater ease, meaning, and joy. As silence teaches us the strength to let go of control, it reveals another profound gift: its ability to bring peace in moments of conflict. When emotions run high and words seem to inflame rather than resolve, silence becomes a powerful tool. It does not seek to dominate or retreat, but to create space. Space for clarity, understanding, and resolution. In the heart of a conflict, silence serves as a bridge, allowing anger and tension to settle and paving the way for wisdom and compassion to emerge. Silence in conflict is not the same as avoidance. It is a deliberate pause, a choice to refrain from reacting impulsively. In moments of disagreement, emotions often drive the conversation, leading to misunderstandings and escalation. Silence interrupts this cycle. It allows time for reflection, for the heat of the moment to subside, and for thoughts to be gathered with care. This pause is not passive. It is an active step toward finding a path forward that honors both truth and connection. By choosing silence in conflict, you create a space for listening. In the midst of a heated exchange, people often focus more on what they want to say next than on truly hearing the other person. Silence shifts this dynamic. It signals a willingness to listen without interruption, to receive what is being said with an open mind. This kind of listening is transformative. It not only helps you understand the other person's perspective, but also makes them feel heard and valued. This sense of being heard is often enough to diffuse tension and begin the process of resolution. Silence also encourages self-awareness during conflict. When emotions are high, it is easy to lose sight of your own motivations and reactions. A moment of silence provides the opportunity to pause and reflect. What am I feeling right now? What do I truly want from this conversation? Am I reacting out of anger or fear, or am I responding with clarity and purpose? This self-awareness allows you to engage in the conflict more mindfully, reducing the likelihood of saying or doing something you might later regret. In silence, there is also room for empathy. Conflict often arises from a lack of understanding or a clash of perspectives. By pausing in silence, you create the space to consider the other person's feelings and motivations. This does not mean agreeing with them, but seeking to understand their point of view. Empathy shifts the focus from winning the argument to finding common ground. It fosters a sense of connection that makes resolution not only possible, but meaningful. Silence can also be a way of diffusing aggression. When faced with hostility, the natural response is often to match the tone, escalating the conflict further. Silence breaks this pattern. It acts as a buffer, absorbing the intensity of the moment without adding fuel to the fire. This kind of silence is not about weakness, but about strength. The strength to remain calm and composed in the face of provocation. This calmness often has a calming effect on others, creating an atmosphere where dialogue becomes possible. In conflict resolution, silence also creates the conditions for thoughtful communication. When words are chosen carefully and spoken with intention, they carry more weight and meaning. Silence allows you to take the time to consider what needs to be said and how best to say it. This thoughtful approach reduces the likelihood of misunderstandings and fosters a sense of respect and mutual consideration. Silence also helps to separate the issue from the emotions surrounding it. In the heat of conflict, it is easy to conflate the problem with personal feelings or attacks. A pause in silence allows you to step back and view the situation more objectively. What is the core issue here? What needs to be addressed? And what can be set aside? This clarity helps to focus the conversation on finding solutions rather than dwelling on grievances. Silence also invites patience into the process of resolution. Conflict often creates a sense of urgency, a need to resolve everything immediately, but meaningful resolution takes time. Silence teaches us to slow down, to allow the process to unfold naturally. This patience is not about avoiding the issue, but about giving it the attention and care it deserves. It is a recognition that rushed solutions are often shallow and temporary, while those reached through thoughtful dialogue are lasting and transformative. Silence also encourages accountability. In the absence of defensive or reactive words, there is space to reflect on your own role in the conflict. What actions or words may have contributed to the situation? What can you take responsibility for? This self-reflection is not about blame, but about growth. It sets the tone for an honest and constructive conversation where both parties can take steps toward resolution. For those on the receiving end of silence, it can be a powerful signal of respect. It shows that their words are being considered, that they are not being dismissed or ignored. This respect creates a foundation of trust, which is essential for resolving any conflict. Trust does not mean agreeing on everything, but believing that the other person is approaching the situation with integrity and a willingness to work toward a solution. Silence also creates a space for creativity in conflict resolution. When the usual patterns of argument are interrupted, new possibilities emerge. In the quiet, ideas arise that might not have been considered in the midst of a heated exchange. These ideas often lead to solutions that are more collaborative and inclusive, addressing the needs of both parties in a way that fosters understanding and cooperation. Through silence, you also learn to let go of the need to be right. Conflict often becomes about proving a point or asserting dominance, which only deepens the divide. Silence shifts the focus from being right to being effective. It encourages you to prioritize the relationship over the argument, to seek solutions that honor the connection rather than the ego. This shift is not about compromising your values, but about finding a way forward that is rooted in mutual respect and understanding. In moments of silence, there is also room for forgiveness. Conflict often brings up past hurts or grievances, creating barriers to resolution. Silence allows you to acknowledge these feelings without being consumed by them. It creates a space where forgiveness becomes possible, not as a way of condoning harm, but as a way of releasing the hold it has on you. Forgiveness is not always easy, but silence provides the stillness needed to begin the process. Silence in conflict resolution is ultimately an act of compassion. It recognizes the humanity in the other person, even in the midst of disagreement. It creates a space where both parties can be seen and heard without judgment. This compassion is not about avoiding difficult conversations, but about approaching them with kindness and care. It is a recognition that conflict, at its core, is an opportunity for growth and connection. Through silence, conflict becomes not something to be feared or avoided, but something to be navigated with wisdom and grace. It transforms the way we approach disagreements, shifting the focus from division to unity, from argument to understanding. Silence does not resolve conflicts on its own, but it creates the conditions for resolution to emerge, conditions rooted in clarity, respect, and compassion. In the end, the virtue of silence in conflict resolution lies in its ability to bring us back to what truly matters. It reminds us that conflicts are not just about issues, but about people, about the relationships we share and the connections we seek to preserve. Through silence, we find a way to honor these connections, even in the face of disagreement. It is a path not of avoidance, but of engagement, one that leads not only to resolution, but to a deeper sense of harmony and understanding. As silence soothes conflicts and fosters understanding, its potential for deeper connection reveals itself in an even more profound way. Silence, when offered with intention, becomes an act of compassion. It provides space for others to express themselves fully, to feel seen and valued without interruption or judgment. In a world often dominated by noise and opinions, the gift of silent presence is one of the most meaningful ways to show care and respect. This type of silence is not passive, but profoundly active. It holds, supports, and creates a sanctuary for emotional expression. When someone is sharing their struggles or joys, silence communicates more than words ever could. It says, "I am here. I am listening." This presence builds trust, showing the other person that they are not alone in their experiences. Silence allows them to speak freely, knowing they will not be interrupted or dismissed. This simple act of listening without response creates an atmosphere of safety where vulnerability can flourish. It is through this safety that genuine connection and healing often begin. The power of silence as compassion lies in its ability to make room for emotions. In conversations filled with constant feedback or advice, the speaker's feelings can be overshadowed. Silence, on the other hand, allows these emotions to rise and flow naturally. It offers a space where anger, sadness, joy, or fear can be expressed without judgment or restraint. This expression is vital for emotional well-being. It helps the person feel acknowledged and understood, which is often all they truly seek. Staying silent when someone is sharing their story also reduces the tendency to solve their problems. Many people instinctively offer solutions when faced with someone else's pain, thinking that advice will help. But often, what the other person needs is not a solution, but a witness. Silence fulfills this need. It respects their autonomy and acknowledges their ability to navigate their own challenges. This respect is a profound act of compassion, as it honors their journey and empowers them to find their way forward. Silence also removes the risk of saying something unintentionally harmful. In moments of vulnerability, words can sometimes miss the mark, leading to misunderstanding or hurt. Silence avoids this risk entirely. It shifts the focus from responding to understanding, creating a deeper sense of connection. This kind of presence is a reminder that being there for someone does not always require words. It requires empathy and attention. In staying silent, you also model a kind of stillness that can be comforting to others. When someone is overwhelmed or struggling, your calm and quiet presence can serve as an anchor. It shows them that it is okay to pause, to take a breath, and to simply be. This stillness creates a ripple effect, inviting them to settle into their own emotions and find a sense of balance. Silence becomes not just a response, but a shared experience that fosters mutual peace. Silence as compassion also teaches you to truly listen. Listening is often thought of as hearing the words someone is saying, but it goes much deeper. True listening involves hearing the emotions behind the words, noticing what is not being said, and being present with the whole person. Silence allows you to engage in this deeper level of listening, free from the distractions of your own thoughts or responses. This kind of attention is a gift. It shows the other person that they matter and that their voice is valued. By staying silent, you also encourage self-expression. When there is no interruption or judgment, people feel freer to share their thoughts and feelings. This freedom can lead to insights or realizations that might not have surfaced otherwise. In this way, silence becomes a catalyst for self-discovery. It provides the space for others to explore their own emotions and thoughts in a way that feels safe and supported. Silence also respects the complexity of emotions. Human feelings are rarely simple or linear. They are layered, nuanced, and often contradictory. Silence allows these complexities to unfold without pressure or expectation. It gives the other person permission to feel everything they need to feel, without needing to explain or justify. This validation is a profound act of kindness, as it honors the full spectrum of their experience. When you offer silence as compassion, you also let go of the need to control the conversation. Too often, people focus on steering dialogue or guiding it toward a particular outcome. Silence releases this need. It allows the conversation to flow naturally, following the other person's lead. This openness fosters a sense of equality and mutual respect, strengthening the bond between you. Silence also creates a space for healing. When someone is grieving or in pain, words often fall short. Silence, however, offers presence without expectation. It says, "I am with you in this moment, and that is enough." This presence is deeply comforting. It reminds the other person that they are not alone, even in their darkest times. This connection is often more powerful than anything words could provide. In moments of silence, there is also room for shared reflection. When two people sit quietly together, their connection deepens in a way that transcends language. This shared stillness allows both individuals to process their emotions and thoughts in their own way, while still feeling the presence of the other. This kind of connection is rare and profound. It is a reminder of the power of simply being together. Silence as an act of compassion also challenges the ego. The instinct to fill silence with words often comes from a desire to prove something, to show understanding, to offer wisdom, or to validate one's own perspective. Choosing silence instead is a humble act. It shifts the focus away from yourself and toward the other person. This humility creates a space where true connection can flourish, free from the distractions of ego. Through silence, you also create a lasting impact. Words can be forgotten, but the feeling of being truly heard and supported remains. When you offer someone the gift of silence, you give them a memory of presence and care that they will carry with them. This impact is not about what you say, but about how you make them feel. It is a reminder that compassion is not about doing, but about being. Silence also fosters self-compassion. When you practice offering silence to others, you begin to understand its value in your own life. You learn to sit with your own emotions without judgment, to listen to yourself with the same care and attention you offer to others. This practice deepens your relationship with yourself, creating a foundation of kindness and understanding that radiates outward. By staying silent, you also honor the uniqueness of each person's experience. No two journeys are the same, and silence acknowledges this truth. It creates space for others to share their story in their own way, without comparison or expectation. This respect is a profound form of compassion, as it celebrates the individuality and humanity of the other person. In silence, you also offer a sense of stability. When someone is navigating uncertainty or chaos, your quiet presence becomes a source of grounding. It reminds them that even in the midst of turmoil, there is a place of calm and support. This stability is not about fixing their situation, but about being a steady presence they can lean on. Through silence, you also learn to appreciate the power of non-verbal communication. A gentle nod, a kind gaze, or a reassuring touch can speak volumes without a single word. These gestures, combined with silence, create a sense of connection that is both subtle and profound. They remind the other person that compassion is not just something you say, but something you embody. Ultimately, silence as an act of compassion is about presence. It is about showing up fully for another person, without distraction or agenda. It is about creating a space where they can be exactly as they are, knowing they are valued and supported. This presence is the essence of compassion. It is a reminder that, even in silence, we are never truly alone. The profound compassion cultivated through silence leads naturally to an even deeper gift, inner clarity. When silence is embraced not just as a response, but as a practice, it transforms into a powerful path toward mindfulness, understanding, and lasting peace. This is the essence of the Buddhist approach to silence, not as an absence, but as a presence, an active engagement with the moment, and a portal to the wisdom that lies within. Silence becomes the mirror that reflects the mind's true nature, offering insight and clarity that words often obscure. Silence teaches the mind to rest. In the busyness of daily life, the mind is often overrun with thoughts, plans, and worries. The constant internal chatter can leave us feeling disconnected and overwhelmed. Silence offers a reprieve, a space where the mind can breathe. This stillness is not about stopping thoughts, but about creating a gentle awareness of them. In this awareness, we begin to see the patterns of our thinking, noticing which thoughts serve us and which create unnecessary tension. This understanding is the first step toward clarity. Mindfulness and silence are deeply intertwined. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in the moment, and silence provides the perfect conditions for this presence to flourish. Without the distractions of noise or conversation, our attention naturally turns inward, grounding us in the here and now. In this state of quiet focus, even the simplest experiences, a breath, a heartbeat, the feeling of the air on our skin, become profound. This deepened awareness brings a sense of peace as we realize that the present moment is enough. Through silence, we also cultivate the ability to observe without judgment. Often, our thoughts and emotions are accompanied by a narrative, a story we tell ourselves about what they mean. These judgments can cloud our perception, making it difficult to see things as they truly are. Silence invites us to step back from these narratives, to simply observe what arises in the mind and body. This observation is not passive. It is an active engagement with the truth of our experience. In this space of non-judgmental awareness, clarity begins to emerge. Silence also deepens our understanding of impermanence. In the quiet, we notice the ebb and flow of thoughts, sensations, and emotions. Nothing stays the same. Everything is in constant motion. This awareness of impermanence is not meant to evoke fear, but to foster acceptance. It helps us to let go of attachment to fixed outcomes and to embrace the fluidity of life. This letting go is a key aspect of inner clarity, as it frees the mind from clinging and creates space for new insights to arise. In silence, we also discover the importance of intention. Without the distractions of external noise, we become more aware of our motivations and desires. Why do we say what we say? Why do we act as we do? This self-inquiry is not about self-criticism, but about understanding. It helps us to align our actions and words with our values, creating a sense of integrity and coherence that brings peace to the mind. The Buddhist path to clarity through silence also involves a deep appreciation for the present moment. The mind often oscillates between dwelling on the past and worrying about the future, rarely settling in the now. Silence interrupts this pattern, anchoring us in the present. In this stillness, we realize that the past is gone, the future is uncertain, and the present is all we truly have. This realization is liberating. It shifts our focus from what we cannot change to what we can experience and appreciate right now. Through silence, we also develop the ability to respond rather than react. Reactions are often automatic, driven by habits or emotions. Responses, on the other hand, are thoughtful and intentional. Silence creates the space needed to pause and choose our response. This pause is a moment of clarity, a chance to act in alignment with our highest intentions rather than being swept away by impulse. This practice brings a sense of empowerment and peace as we learn to navigate life with greater mindfulness. Silence also fosters self-compassion. In the quiet, we become more attuned to our inner dialogue, the way we speak to ourselves in our thoughts. Often this dialogue is harsh or critical, creating unnecessary suffering. Silence gives us the opportunity to listen to this inner voice and to soften it with kindness. It reminds us that we are deserving of the same compassion we offer to others. This self-compassion is a cornerstone of inner clarity, as it allows us to approach our thoughts and feelings with curiosity rather than judgment. Through silence, we also come to understand the nature of the mind. The mind is a tool, a powerful instrument for perception and creation, but when left unchecked, it can also become a source of confusion and distress. Silence helps us to see the mind for what it is, a constantly changing stream of thoughts, feelings, and sensations. This awareness allows us to step back from the mind's activity, to observe it without being caught up in it. This detachment is not about disconnection, but about creating a healthy relationship with our thoughts, one that fosters clarity and peace. Silence also enhances our connection to others. When we practice silence, we become more present and attentive in our interactions. We listen more deeply, speak more thoughtfully, and approach others with greater empathy. This presence creates a sense of connection that is rooted in understanding rather than assumption. It reminds us that true communication is not just about words, but about being fully present with another person. The transformative potential of silence lies in its ability to create space. Space for reflection, space for understanding, and space for growth. In this space, we find clarity not through effort, but through presence. We begin to see that clarity is not something to be achieved, but something to be uncovered, a natural state that arises when the noise of the mind subsides. Through the practice of silence, we also learn to trust ourselves. Clarity is often obscured by doubt or fear, which lead us to seek validation or answers from external sources. Silence brings us back to our own inner wisdom. It reminds us that the answers we seek are often already within us, waiting to be heard in the stillness. This trust in ourselves is deeply empowering. It allows us to navigate life with confidence and peace, knowing that we have the clarity to make wise and compassionate choices. The Buddhist path to inner clarity through silence is ultimately a journey of coming home to ourselves. It is about stripping away the layers of noise and distraction to reconnect with the essence of who we are. This essence is not defined by our thoughts or emotions, but by the awareness that observes them. In silence, we come to know this awareness more intimately, finding a sense of clarity and peace that is unshakable. As we walk this path, we discover that silence is not an absence, but a presence that holds, heals, and transforms. It is a practice that nurtures mindfulness, deepens understanding, and cultivates peace. Through silence, we find not only clarity, but also a profound sense of connection to ourselves, to others, and to the world around us. This is the transformative potential of silence, a gift that continues to unfold with every moment of stillness. As silence illuminates the depths of clarity and connection, it also invites us to reflect on the choices we make about relationships and proximity. The decision to live near one's children in old age, while often made with love and good intentions, carries complexities that many overlook. This choice may seem like a natural step to ensure support and companionship, but Buddhism teaches us to examine the subtle dynamics of attachment, independence, and balance in such relationships. In the search for harmony, what seems like a wise choice can sometimes lead to unintended consequences, impacting both personal peace and familial bonds. Living close to one's children in later years may initially appear comforting, a way to maintain family ties and receive care in times of need. However, when examined through a Buddhist lens, the potential for dependency and attachment becomes clear. Dependency, even when born from love, can create a subtle imbalance in relationships. Parents who seek closeness may unknowingly impose expectations on their children, while children may feel the weight of unspoken obligations. This dynamic, left unchecked, can lead to resentment, guilt, or a sense of suffocation in the relationship. From a Buddhist perspective, attachment is often a source of suffering. Clinging to the idea that children must fulfill certain roles or responsibilities can hinder their autonomy and growth. When parents and children live in close proximity, boundaries may blur, creating situations where independence is compromised. The Buddhist teaching of detachment does not mean withdrawing from relationships, but finding freedom within them. Freedom for both parties to thrive without being tied to unrealistic expectations. Independence is a cornerstone of contentment in old age. Maintaining a sense of self-reliance, both physically and emotionally, fosters dignity and self-esteem. When parents live too closely to their children, they may inadvertently lose this independence. Small acts of dependence, such as frequent requests for assistance or involvement in daily matters, can accumulate, creating a reliance that weakens their own sense of agency. Buddhism encourages cultivating inner strength and resilience, reminding us that true peace comes from within, not from external sources or people. The proximity of living close can also challenge personal boundaries. Children, as they build their own lives, may need space to focus on their families, careers, or individual goals. Parents seeking connection might unintentionally overstep these boundaries, leading to tension or conflict. Healthy relationships require a balance of closeness and distance, and Buddhism emphasizes the importance of respecting others' paths and choices. Living apart can often nurture this balance, allowing love to flourish without becoming overbearing. A Buddhist approach encourages parents to explore the motivations behind their desire to live close to their children. Is it driven by fear of loneliness, insecurity, or societal norms? By examining these motivations, parents can address the root causes of their desires rather than seeking external solutions. Buddhism teaches that understanding the self leads to wiser decisions, ones that align with the deeper values of peace and compassion rather than fleeting comforts. There is also the matter of emotional dynamics. Parents living nearby may unconsciously expect their children to act as emotional anchors, turning to them for comfort or companionship. This can place an emotional burden on children, especially if they are balancing their own responsibilities. Buddhism highlights the importance of equanimity, a balanced state of mind that neither clings to nor rejects emotions. Parents can foster this balance by finding fulfillment in their own interests, relationships, and spiritual practices, rather than relying solely on their children for emotional support. Living independently does not mean cutting ties or distancing oneself emotionally. On the contrary, it can strengthen familial bonds. When parents and children have the freedom to connect without the pressures of constant proximity, their interactions often become more meaningful and intentional. They share time out of genuine desire rather than obligation. This aligns with the Buddhist principle of right relationships, where connections are built on mutual respect and understanding rather than need or expectation. Practical considerations also play a role. Living close to children might bring convenience, but it can also complicate matters if disagreements arise. Family dynamics, even in the most loving relationships, can be challenging. Closeness can sometimes magnify these challenges, making it harder to maintain objectivity and peace. Buddhism teaches the value of perspective, seeing situations with clarity and compassion. Physical distance can often provide the space needed to navigate conflicts with greater wisdom. Loneliness is a common fear that drives the decision to live near children. However, Buddhism invites us to reconsider loneliness not as a void to be filled by others, but as an opportunity for self-discovery. Solitude can be a profound teacher, offering insights that are often missed in the noise of daily interactions. Parents who embrace moments of solitude often find that they develop a deeper connection with themselves, reducing the need to rely on external relationships for validation. The decision to live near children is often rooted in a desire for security. Parents may worry about aging alone or being unable to manage certain tasks. These concerns are valid, but they need not dictate choices. Buddhism encourages planning and preparation, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. By cultivating a strong support network, building friendships, or engaging in community activities, parents can create a sense of security that does not depend solely on their children. Freedom is another key consideration. Living independently allows both parents and children the freedom to pursue their own paths. This freedom is not about separation, but about mutual growth. Parents can explore new interests, deepen their spiritual practices, or contribute to their communities, while children can focus on building their lives without feeling tethered. This mutual freedom often strengthens the relationship, as both parties bring their fullest selves to the connection. Buddhism also highlights the impermanence of all things, including relationships and roles. Parents and children are deeply connected, but they are also individuals on their own journeys. By recognizing this impermanence, parents can release the need to control or dictate the nature of their relationship with their children. This release is not about detachment, but about embracing the natural ebb and flow of life with grace and acceptance. Living apart does not mean a lack of care or support. It is entirely possible to maintain strong bonds and offer assistance without being physically close. Modern technology allows for regular communication, while visits can be planned in a way that feels meaningful rather than obligatory. Buddhism reminds us that the quality of a connection matters far more than its quantity. A heartfelt conversation or a mindful visit can often bring more joy than daily interactions that feel routine or strained. Ultimately, the choice of whether to live near children in old age is deeply personal. There is no one-size-fits-all answer, and Buddhism does not dictate specific actions. Instead, it offers principles that guide thoughtful decision-making. By embracing self-awareness, mindfulness, and compassion, parents can make choices that honor both their needs and those of their children. They can create relationships that are rooted in respect, understanding, and love, whether they live near or far. The Buddhist path teaches us to seek harmony within ourselves and in our relationships. It encourages us to release attachment and embrace the freedom that comes from letting go of control. In the context of living near children, this means making choices that prioritize peace, balance, and mutual respect. It is not about physical proximity, but about the depth of connection, the quality of care, and the joy of truly seeing and honoring one another. Through this lens, parents and children alike can navigate their relationships with wisdom and grace, creating bonds that transcend the limitations of distance. As the wisdom of Buddhism guides us in relationships and choices, it also calls us to examine the most important relationship of all, the one with ourselves. In a world filled with external pressures and distractions, it's easy to let go of our inner strength, giving away our power to circumstances, people, or fleeting emotions. Yet, true thriving comes not from surrendering our agency, but from reclaiming it. Buddhism teaches us that the path to fulfillment lies in taking responsibility for our lives, embracing our power with mindfulness, and channeling it toward purpose and peace. Taking control in life doesn't mean controlling others or bending the world to fit our desires. Instead, it means mastering our inner world, our thoughts, emotions, and reactions. Buddhism emphasizes the importance of self-awareness as the foundation for reclaiming personal power. By observing our thoughts without judgment, we begin to see the patterns that shape our behavior. These patterns, often influenced by fear, habit, or conditioning, can limit us if left unchecked. Silence and mindfulness provide the clarity needed to recognize these patterns and the courage to transform them. Power, from a Buddhist perspective, is not about dominance, but about alignment. It is the ability to align our actions with our values, our words with our intentions, and our choices with our deepest truths. This alignment creates a sense of integrity that strengthens our inner resolve. When we act from a place of integrity, we are no longer swayed by external influences or fleeting emotions. Instead, we navigate life with confidence and clarity, grounded in a sense of purpose. One of the greatest threats to personal power is attachment. We often tie our sense of worth to external things, possessions, achievements, relationships, and in doing so, we surrender our inner stability. Buddhism teaches that true freedom comes from letting go of these attachments. This letting go is not about renunciation, but about shifting our focus inward. It is about finding contentment within ourselves, rather than seeking it in the ever-changing world around us. This inner contentment is a source of immense strength, allowing us to thrive regardless of external circumstances. Another way we surrender our power is by giving in to fear. Fear, whether of failure, rejection, or the unknown, can paralyze us and keep us from living fully. Buddhism encourages us to face fear with mindfulness and compassion, seeing it not as an enemy, but as a teacher. When we approach fear with curiosity, we begin to understand its roots. This understanding helps us to move through fear rather than being held captive by it. In doing so, we reclaim the power that fear once held over us. Self-doubt is another obstacle to thriving. The inner critic, fueled by past experiences or societal expectations, can create a narrative that undermines our confidence. Buddhism offers tools to quiet this inner voice through practices like meditation and self-compassion. By cultivating a kind and supportive inner dialogue, we strengthen our sense of self-worth. This self-worth is not based on external validation, but on a deep recognition of our inherent value. It reminds us that we are capable, deserving, and whole. Taking control also means setting boundaries. Boundaries are not walls, but clear markers of what we will and will not accept in our lives. They protect our energy, time, and well-being, allowing us to focus on what truly matters. Buddhism teaches the importance of skillful action, choosing actions that lead to harmony and balance. Setting boundaries is a form of skillful action, as it ensures that we engage with the world in ways that nourish rather than deplete us. The path to thriving also involves embracing change. Life is inherently dynamic, and resistance to change can lead to stagnation. Buddhism encourages us to see change as an opportunity for growth. When we let go of the need for control and embrace the flow of life, we open ourselves to new possibilities. This openness is a form of power, as it allows us to adapt and evolve with grace. It reminds us that thriving is not about holding on to what is, but about embracing what could be. Another key aspect of reclaiming power is cultivating discipline. Discipline is often misunderstood as rigid or harsh, but in Buddhism it is seen as a form of self-respect. Discipline is the practice of showing up for ourselves, whether through meditation, mindful eating, or purposeful action. It is about choosing what is meaningful over what is easy, what is nourishing over what is fleeting. This consistent practice strengthens our resolve and deepens our sense of empowerment. Buddhism also teaches us the power of intention. Every thought, word, and action carries energy that shapes our reality. By setting clear intentions, we take control of this creative power. Intention is not about forcing outcomes, but about aligning our energy with our values and goals. It is about moving through life with purpose, knowing that each step is a part of a greater journey. This sense of purpose fuels our motivation and helps us to stay focused, even in the face of challenges. Reclaiming power also involves cultivating resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from setbacks, to face difficulties with courage and grace. Buddhism teaches that suffering is a natural part of life, but how we respond to it is within our control. Through mindfulness, we learn to navigate pain without being overwhelmed by it. This resilience is not about suppressing emotions, but about embracing them with awareness. It reminds us that every challenge carries the potential for growth and transformation. Compassion is another source of strength. While personal power may seem like a solitary pursuit, Buddhism reminds us that true thriving involves connection. Compassion allows us to extend our strength to others, creating relationships that uplift and inspire. This connection is not about dependence, but about mutual support. It reminds us that our power is magnified when it is shared, when it contributes to the well-being of others as well as ourselves. Forgiveness is a practice that also restores power. Holding on to anger or resentment keeps us tied to the past, draining our energy and focus. Forgiveness, from a Buddhist perspective, is not about condoning harm, but about freeing ourselves from its grip. It is an act of self-liberation, a way of reclaiming the energy that was once consumed by negativity. This release creates space for healing, clarity, and peace. The journey of reclaiming power is deeply personal, but it is not one that we undertake alone. Buddhism teaches the importance of community, finding support and inspiration in like-minded individuals. Whether through spiritual groups, friendships, or mentorships, these connections remind us of our shared humanity. They provide encouragement when we falter and celebrate our growth when we thrive. At its core, taking control and thriving is about remembering who we are. It is about recognizing that we are not defined by our circumstances or fears, but by the choices we make in response to them. Buddhism reminds us that we have the power to shape our lives, not through force, but through wisdom, compassion, and mindful action. This path is not always easy, but it is one of profound fulfillment. Thriving is not about reaching a destination, but about how we move through the journey. It is about embracing each moment with presence, each challenge with courage, and each opportunity with gratitude. It is about living in alignment with our values, trusting in our own strength, and contributing to the greater good. Through this practice, we not only reclaim our power, but discover a deeper sense of joy, peace, and purpose. As the wisdom of reclaiming your power illuminates the path to thriving, it reveals an often overlooked truth. The energy we seek externally often lies dormant within. The mind, with its vast capacity, holds the key to unlocking a reservoir of inexhaustible energy. When guided by Buddhist principles, this energy is not the fleeting buzz of overexertion or stimulation, but a sustainable force rooted in mindfulness, clarity, and purpose. To reprogram the mind for boundless energy is to align with this deeper source, tapping into the vitality that naturally flows when the mind is clear, focused, and at peace. The first step in accessing this energy is understanding how the mind creates and depletes it. Energy is often squandered through worry, distraction, and resistance. Thoughts of regret or anxiety drain our vitality, leaving us feeling tired even when our bodies are rested. Buddhist teachings guide us to observe the nature of our thoughts, recognizing how they influence our energy levels. By cultivating mindfulness, we develop the ability to redirect our mental focus from draining patterns to nourishing ones, conserving and amplifying our inner energy. Breathing is a gateway to reprogramming the mind. Often overlooked, the breath is a direct connection between the body and mind, influencing both physical and mental states. Buddhist meditation emphasizes conscious breathing, which calms the nervous system and restores balance. When the mind is agitated, the breath becomes shallow, depleting energy further. By practicing deep, rhythmic breathing, we create a foundation for mental clarity and emotional stability. This practice, when sustained, generates a steady flow of energy that supports both the body and mind. Clarity of purpose is another cornerstone of inexhaustible energy. A scattered mind, torn between conflicting desires and tasks, burns energy without producing meaningful results. Buddhism encourages single-minded focus, placing full attention on one task or intention at a time. This focus is not about rigidity, but about presence. When the mind is fully engaged in the moment, it eliminates the energy-draining effects of distraction and indecision. Each action becomes purposeful, fueling a sense of accomplishment and replenishing energy instead of depleting it. The role of detachment cannot be overstated in the pursuit of sustainable energy. Attachment to outcomes, expectations, or even past mistakes weighs heavily on the mind. This attachment acts as a mental clutter that consumes energy unnecessarily. Detachment, as taught in Buddhism, is not about indifference, but about freedom. Freedom from the grip of what is beyond our control. When the mind is free from such burdens, it operates with efficiency and ease, channeling energy toward what truly matters. Rest and renewal are essential components of maintaining inexhaustible energy, but these do not always mean physical rest. Mental rest, achieved through meditation, is just as vital. In meditation, the mind releases its constant chatter and finds stillness. This stillness is deeply restorative, akin to recharging a battery. It allows the mind to reset, releasing accumulated tension and regaining its natural rhythm. Regular meditation cultivates a state of mindfulness that extends beyond the practice, allowing the mind to remain balanced and energized throughout the day. Compassion also plays a significant role in generating energy. While it may seem counterintuitive, extending kindness to others replenishes rather than depletes. Acts of compassion create positive emotions, releasing endorphins and fostering a sense of connection. This connection reinforces the understanding that energy flows most freely when it is shared. Buddhism teaches that by reducing self-centeredness and embracing altruism, we tap into a universal source of vitality that transcends individual effort. The practice of gratitude is another powerful tool for reprogramming the mind. Gratitude shifts the focus from what is lacking to what is abundant. This shift not only uplifts the spirit, but also energizes the mind. Dwelling on deficiencies drains motivation and enthusiasm, while appreciating what is present creates a sense of fulfillment and possibility. By cultivating gratitude, we align the mind with positivity, which in turn sustains energy over time. Diet and lifestyle are also integral to this process. Buddhism emphasizes balance and mindfulness in all aspects of life, including how we nourish our bodies. Mindful eating, paying attention to the quality and quantity of food consumed, supports both physical and mental well-being. A body that is nourished mindfully becomes a strong vessel for the energy cultivated through mental practices. Similarly, regular physical activity, approached with mindfulness, complements the energy generated through mental clarity, creating a harmonious synergy. Sleep, often undervalued in modern life, is recognized in Buddhism as a crucial element of balance. However, the quality of sleep matters as much as its quantity. A mind burdened with unresolved thoughts or emotions struggles to find rest, even during sleep. Practices such as pre-sleep meditation or journaling help to clear the mind, preparing it for deep, restorative rest. This rest becomes a wellspring of energy, ensuring that both the body and mind awaken, refreshed and ready to engage fully with life. Letting go of perfectionism is another critical aspect of sustaining energy. The constant striving for flawlessness creates unnecessary stress and drains mental resources. Buddhism encourages embracing imperfection as a natural part of life. This acceptance does not mean complacency, but rather a recognition that growth and progress are more valuable than unattainable ideals. By releasing the need for perfection, we conserve energy that would otherwise be spent on self-criticism or frustration. Silence, as previously explored, remains a powerful ally in maintaining energy. The constant noise of daily life, both external and internal, creates fatigue. Silence provides a sanctuary where the mind can find peace and recharge. Regular moments of silence throughout the day serve as checkpoints, allowing the mind to reset and refocus. This practice fosters resilience, ensuring that energy remains steady even in demanding situations. Reprogramming the mind for energy also involves cultivating resilience in the face of challenges. Life inevitably presents obstacles, but how we respond to them determines their impact on our energy. Buddhism teaches the importance of equanimity, maintaining a balanced state of mind regardless of circumstances. This balance prevents emotional extremes, which can be exhausting, and encourages a steady flow of energy that is not dependent on external conditions. Joy, when approached mindfully, becomes a source of renewable energy. Buddhism emphasizes finding joy in the simple, ordinary moments of life. This joy is not tied to grand achievements, but arises from presence and appreciation. When we allow ourselves to experience joy fully without guilt or distraction, it replenishes our spirit and strengthens our capacity to face challenges. This joy becomes a wellspring of energy that sustains us even in difficult times. The integration of mindfulness into daily routines ensures that energy is used wisely. Tasks that are approached mindlessly often feel draining, as they lack engagement or purpose. Mindfulness transforms even the simplest activities into meaningful practices, infusing them with intention and presence. This approach prevents the mind from wandering into unproductive thoughts and ensures that energy is directed toward actions that align with our values and goals. The practice of self-compassion ensures that we approach this journey with kindness. Reprogramming the mind for inexhaustible energy is not about pushing ourselves relentlessly, but about creating a sustainable rhythm. Self-compassion reminds us to honor our limitations and celebrate our progress, no matter how small. It nurtures a mindset that is both resilient and adaptable, capable of maintaining energy over the long term. Through these practices, rooted in Buddhist wisdom, the mind transforms from a source of fatigue to a fountain of vitality. By aligning thoughts, emotions, and actions with clarity and purpose, we unlock a well of energy that's both sustainable and abundant. This energy not only fuels our own growth, but also enables us to contribute meaningfully to the world around us, creating a life of balance, fulfillment, and peace. As the journey of cultivating boundless energy reveals the mind's hidden potential, it naturally brings us to a deeper truth. The quality of our lives is shaped by the quality of our thoughts. Thoughts can either empower or imprison, create clarity or chaos, and bring peace or turmoil. The mastery of thoughts, a central teaching in Buddhism, is not about suppressing or controlling them, but about transforming the relationship we have with them. By understanding their nature and influence, we gain the freedom to direct our inner narrative and live with intention and peace. Thoughts arise constantly, often unbidden, like waves on the surface of the mind. Buddhism teaches that these thoughts are not inherently good or bad. They are simply phenomena that come and go. The problem arises when we attach ourselves to them, mistaking fleeting ideas or emotions for permanent truths. Mastery begins with recognizing this impermanence, understanding that thoughts are not facts, and learning to observe them without judgment. This observation creates a space between awareness and reaction, a space where choice and freedom reside. Mindfulness is the foundation of thought mastery. By cultivating a state of present moment awareness, we become attuned to the patterns of our thinking. This awareness is not about stopping thoughts, but about noticing them with curiosity and detachment. It allows us to see repetitive or unhelpful thought patterns, those rooted in fear, doubt, or negativity, and gently redirect our focus. Through mindfulness, we learn that we are not our thoughts. We are the awareness behind them, capable of choosing which ones to nurture and which to release. The practice of labeling thoughts can be particularly helpful. When a thought arises, identifying it as worry, judgment, or planning helps to disarm its emotional charge. This simple act of labeling separates us from the thought, reducing its power to dictate our feelings or actions. It brings clarity to the inner landscape, allowing us to see the mind's activity with greater objectivity. This practice is not about suppressing thoughts, but about understanding their nature and impact, creating a sense of mastery through awareness. Compassion plays a vital role in mastering thoughts. Often, unhelpful thoughts are accompanied by self-criticism or judgment, which only deepens their hold. Buddhism encourages approaching the mind with kindness, treating its wanderings not as failures, but as opportunities for growth. When we meet our thoughts with compassion, we create a supportive inner environment that fosters transformation. This compassion extends to accepting all aspects of ourselves, even those that seem contradictory or flawed. Buddhist wisdom also highlights the importance of intention in shaping thoughts. Intention acts as a guiding force, directing the mind toward what is meaningful and beneficial. When we set clear intentions, we provide the mind with a framework for focus and clarity. These intentions act as a compass, steering thoughts away from distractions or negativity and toward alignment with our values and goals. This practice transforms the mind from a reactive state to a purposeful one, empowering us to navigate life with clarity. Meditation is a cornerstone of thought mastery. In meditation, we create a quiet space where thoughts can arise and dissipate without attachment. This practice trains the mind to remain steady and focused, even in the presence of distractions. Over time, meditation cultivates a deep sense of equanimity, enabling us to respond to thoughts with calmness rather than being swept away by them. This steadiness is not about suppressing thoughts, but about creating a stable foundation from which to engage with them mindfully. Gratitude is another powerful tool for mastering thoughts. When the mind is consumed with worry or negativity, shifting focus to what is present and good creates a profound shift in perspective. Gratitude reframes thoughts, highlighting abundance rather than lack, and fostering a sense of contentment. This practice does not deny challenges but balances them with an awareness of life's blessings, creating a more harmonious inner dialogue. Awareness of the body is equally important in mastering thoughts. The mind and body are deeply interconnected, and physical sensations often mirror mental states. Tension in the body can signal stress or unresolved emotions, while relaxation reflects ease and clarity. By practicing body awareness through techniques like mindful breathing or scanning, we gain insight into how thoughts manifest physically. This awareness allows us to address both mental and physical tension simultaneously, creating a holistic approach to mastery. Reframing is a skill that transforms the way we perceive and respond to thoughts. When a negative or limiting thought arises, reframing it as a question or opportunity changes its impact. For example, instead of thinking, "I can't do this," reframing it as, "What can I learn from this challenge?" shifts the focus from limitation to possibility. This practice aligns with Buddhist teachings on right view, encouraging perspectives that promote growth and understanding. Letting go is a central theme in Buddhist thought and an essential aspect of mastering the mind. Clinging to certain ideas or beliefs often creates unnecessary suffering. Letting go does not mean ignoring responsibilities or relationships, but releasing the mental grip on thoughts that no longer serve us. This practice creates mental spaciousness, allowing new insights and possibilities to emerge. Letting go is not an act of weakness, but of strength, a recognition that freedom lies in releasing what weighs us down. The concept of mental seeds, as taught in Buddhism, also offers insight into thought mastery. Every thought we cultivate is like planting a seed in the mind. Positive thoughts, rooted in kindness, compassion, and wisdom, grow into habits that bring peace and fulfillment. Negative thoughts, rooted in anger or fear, grow into patterns that create suffering. By choosing which seeds to nurture, we shape the landscape of our minds, creating a mental environment that supports thriving. Equanimity, the practice of maintaining balance amidst life's fluctuations, is another vital aspect of thought mastery. Life is unpredictable, and thoughts often mirror its highs and lows. Equanimity teaches us to remain steady, to engage with thoughts without becoming attached to them. This balance is not about suppressing emotions, but about responding to them with wisdom and calmness. It is a reminder that we can face any thought or situation with grace. Engaging with thoughts creatively also fosters mastery. Thoughts are not inherently problems to be solved, but resources to be explored. Creativity transforms thoughts into tools for insight, problem-solving, or self-expression. Whether through journaling, art, or storytelling, creative engagement allows us to interact with our thoughts in meaningful ways, uncovering their deeper significance and potential. The role of silence in mastering thoughts cannot be overstated. Silence provides a canvas where thoughts can be observed and understood without the interference of external noise or distractions. Regular moments of silence throughout the day create opportunities to reset the mind, fostering clarity and focus. This silence is not about avoiding thoughts, but about creating space for them to settle naturally, revealing their true nature. The practice of self-awareness is the thread that weaves all these techniques together. Self-awareness allows us to observe the mind's activity without becoming entangled in it. It empowers us to recognize patterns, set intentions, and engage with thoughts in ways that promote peace and growth. Through self-awareness, we move from being passive recipients of our thoughts to active participants in shaping our mental landscape. Mastering thoughts is not about achieving perfection, but about cultivating a relationship with the mind that is grounded in mindfulness, compassion, and purpose. It is a journey of self-discovery, where each thought becomes an opportunity for growth and transformation. By aligning our inner dialogue with Buddhist wisdom, we create a mental environment that supports clarity, peace, and fulfillment, unlocking the true potential of our minds. Understanding the mind unlocks a profound gateway to personal mastery, and yet the mind does not exist in isolation. It interacts continuously with the minds of others, shaping and being shaped by the complex web of relationships we navigate. Buddhist teachings offer timeless insights into the psychological nature of people, revealing truths about behavior, motivation, and connection. These insights are not merely intellectual. They offer a pathway to deeper compassion, clarity, and harmony in our interactions. Delving into these truths transforms how we perceive others and ourselves, building bridges of understanding and authenticity. People are deeply shaped by their thoughts, experiences, and perceptions, much like the way water takes the shape of its container. The thoughts they dwell on influence their words, actions, and attitudes. Buddhism teaches that the seeds of these behaviors often lie hidden beneath the surface. To truly understand someone, one must look beyond their outward actions to the underlying emotions, desires, and fears that drive them. Compassion becomes the lens through which these deeper layers are revealed. This understanding creates space for patience, as we recognize that each person's behavior is a reflection of their inner journey. A key psychological insight from Buddhist wisdom is the recognition of impermanence. People's emotions, opinions, and reactions are ever-changing, influenced by external conditions and internal states. This fluidity means that no person is defined solely by a single action or moment. By embracing this impermanence, we release rigid judgments and create the possibility for growth and change in ourselves and others. Relationships flourish when approached with this mindset, as it nurtures flexibility and openness rather than fixed expectations. Another profound truth is the interplay between desire and suffering. People often act from a place of wanting, whether it is a desire for approval, control, or fulfillment. This craving can lead to actions that appear irrational or harmful, but are rooted in the universal human longing for happiness. Recognizing this shared struggle allows us to approach others with empathy rather than criticism. Buddhism encourages the practice of non-attachment, reminding us that clinging to desires, whether our own or others, often results in conflict. Releasing this attachment fosters harmony and understanding in interactions. The concept of interconnectedness is central to Buddhist teachings and offers deep psychological insight into human behavior. People are not isolated beings. Their thoughts, actions, and emotions ripple outward, influencing those around them. This interconnectedness means that kindness and compassion are not just individual choices, but collective forces that shape communities. Understanding this interdependence transforms how we approach relationships, shifting the focus from personal gain to mutual well-being. It also highlights the importance of mindfulness in every interaction, as even small gestures carry the power to uplift or harm. People are often guided by habits, patterns of thought and behavior that have been reinforced over time. These habits, whether positive or negative, can shape identity and relationships. Buddhism teaches the importance of awareness in breaking unhelpful patterns and cultivating constructive ones. When we observe others, recognizing their habits without judgment allows us to respond with wisdom rather than reaction. This awareness also reflects back on our own habits, inspiring us to grow and evolve alongside others. Fear is another powerful force that influences behavior. Fear of rejection, failure, or loss often lies at the heart of defensive or aggressive actions. Buddhist teachings encourage us to see fear not as a weakness, but as an opportunity for compassion. When we recognize fear in ourselves and others, we soften our approach, creating space for courage and connection. This understanding helps to diffuse conflict and build trust, as it shifts the focus from judgment to support. Silence, as explored in earlier teachings, is a profound tool for understanding others. When we hold space for silence in conversations, we allow people to reveal themselves more fully. This silence is not an absence, but a presence, an invitation for authenticity. It demonstrates respect and attentiveness, fostering a sense of safety that encourages deeper sharing. Through silence, we learn to listen not just to words, but to tone, body language, and the emotions beneath the surface. Buddhist wisdom also sheds light on the nature of projection. People often attribute their own emotions or fears onto others, seeing qualities in them that reflect their inner state. Recognizing projection in interactions allows us to approach situations with greater clarity. Instead of reacting to what someone says or does, we can pause and reflect on what might be driving their perception. This pause creates a space for dialogue rather than conflict, transforming misunderstandings into opportunities for connection. Another insight is the universality of suffering. Every person carries their own struggles, even if they are not visible on the surface. Buddhism teaches that this shared experience of suffering binds humanity together, creating a foundation for empathy and compassion. When we approach others with the understanding that they too are navigating challenges, we soften our judgments and open our hearts. This approach fosters genuine relationships built on kindness and mutual respect. People are also shaped by their environments, both physical and emotional. The conditions they live in influence their choices, attitudes, and behaviors. Buddhist teachings emphasize the importance of creating supportive environments that nurture positive qualities. This principle applies not only to ourselves, but also to how we interact with others. By fostering environments of trust, encouragement, and understanding, we contribute to the well-being of those around us. The mind's tendency to cling to identities, whether personal or assigned by others, is another psychological truth illuminated by Buddhism. People often act in ways that reinforce their sense of self, whether that self is seen as strong, kind, or even flawed. Recognizing this tendency allows us to see beyond the surface identity to the deeper essence of a person. It also reminds us to approach interactions with humility, knowing that we too are shaped by our self-perceptions. Buddhism also highlights the power of intention. Every action, no matter how small, is driven by an intention. Understanding this principle helps us to see the motivations behind people's behaviors, fostering curiosity rather than assumption. It also encourages us to align our own intentions with values of kindness and integrity, creating interactions that uplift and inspire. When intentions are rooted in mindfulness, they guide actions that contribute to harmony rather than discord. The practice of equanimity offers a profound approach to navigating relationships. Equanimity is the ability to remain balanced and present, even in the face of challenging behaviors. This balance allows us to respond rather than react, maintaining our own peace while engaging with others compassionately. Equanimity is not about detachment, but about grounded presence, a quality that strengthens connections and fosters mutual understanding. The role of compassion in understanding people cannot be overstated. Compassion is the bridge that connects hearts, transcending differences and fostering unity. Buddhist teachings encourage us to cultivate compassion not only for those we love, but also for those who challenge us. This universal compassion creates a foundation for meaningful relationships, reminding us that every person is deserving of kindness and understanding. In exploring these psychological truths, we gain not only insight into others, but also a deeper understanding of ourselves. Buddhism teaches that the external world is a reflection of the internal mind. By cultivating awareness, compassion, and mindfulness in our interactions, we transform not only our relationships, but also our own inner world. These timeless teachings guide us to see others with clarity, to respond with wisdom, and to connect with authenticity, creating a life of harmony and fulfillment. Silence, as revealed through Buddhist wisdom, is far more than the absence of words. It is a tool for reflection, growth, and profound connection. In these 10 pivotal situations, staying silent becomes a powerful act of wisdom, compassion, and self-mastery. Whether it's calming anger, embracing grief, or offering support, silence teaches us to respond to life with clarity and purpose rather than reaction. It reminds us that stillness holds the answers that noise often drowns out. By honoring the transformative power of silence, we not only deepen our understanding of ourselves, but also create harmony in our relationships and the world around us. Silence is not emptiness. It's a space where peace, wisdom, and insight flourish. Which lesson about silence resonated with you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear how these teachings are shaping your journey. If this exploration of silence brought value to your life, hit the subscribe button and join our growing community dedicated to timeless wisdom and personal transformation. Let's continue walking this path of mindfulness and meaning together.